I mean, to get your channel deleted, man, I mean, that is terrible because I remember when, I was demonetized for some time. And, like I said, that really hurt because I wasn't really even understanding why my channel was demonetized in the first place. And I've always tried to be authentic on my channel and to always keep my content, and be myself, not trying to steal people's things. And, for Dart to have, his channel going through, these issues, man, like I said, it's really sad, man, because like I said, a small channel, and what I've seen on YouTube is, so much worse stuff that, it's crazy.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the chat. I said hi to Jesse. Renee, of course, is here. Spetka Fantasy. And Renee says, what's up to you? King Speech Row is in. Good morning. We're going to have to talk. Hey, I haven't talked to you, I don't think, since New York has shit the bed twice. So we can avoid that topic if you want to. But everybody, if you heard us talking, we were just discussing how weird it is that Dart is being punished on the level that he is. And I told him, why don't you just use another email? And he said they said they track my IP, like they're treating him like a freaking terrorist.
I must say that's pretty serious right there. That's pretty intense.
And for what? Did you see? Because I was having connection issues. Did you see what it was? Was it that bad?
No, he sent me a clip. It was supposedly, a wrestling match with his face and I think someone else's face superimposed on the wrestlers as the wrestling match was going on. I don't see what, the issue with something like that would be. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see some people saying what's up to me. Thank you to all you guys. Like I said, Renee 43, the Jesse Glad Saget, Specca Fantasy, Ken Speech Roll, Armand Smith, Andre Carter, E-Dog McZuggins, Hayden Phoenix, Message the Minister. Shout out to all you guys, man. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody said, who's Dart? That was the host of Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best. And man, YouTube is full of videos of people beating each other up, humans murdering animals, and this guy's who's getting picked on. Anyways, welcome everybody in the chats. It's good to be live streaming with some of the old crew again. We all kind of like took a break there. Yeah, and you getting demonetized, that's not as bad as getting deleted, but like it's just you talking.
I know. And like I said, I think what ends up happening for me in particular, because I went back and like I said, I really tried to figure out what was the issue. And I think what it really came back to is I was posting short clips on my channel of the Shaqtin' a Fool with LeBron James and some of the things that he was doing on the court. And I guess I must have been getting some pushback from the Shaqtin' a Fool clips that I was posting. That's the only thing I can think of because there was nothing else that I was posting to my channel that could have been seen as me stealing content, because that's why I was demonetized for quote unquote stealing content.
Well, while we have King Speech here, do you want to talk? I mean, I haven't spoken to you. How are you feeling? Was that New York? I know you were cautious. You were aware not to get your hopes up. You said so. And man, I don't know. What are you feeling right now?
Well, first, man, once again, shout out to everybody that's coming through the Sunday live with me and my man, the Czar of video footage, AOH. Like I said, thank you to all you guys. It's truly humbling for you guys to always come through and support the channel. And like you said, AOH, I was very apprehensive for me to do some videos on the New York Knicks. I did 2 videos on the New York Knicks this entire season. And the 2 videos that I did were the video after they beat the Boston Celtics and a video before the first game, literally right before the first game. And I said in that video, the only reason why I did that New York Knicks video literally maybe 30, 40 minutes before the game came on is because I was watching the pregame and Patrick Ewing was on there, and Patrick Ewing got me hyped up, man. He was talking about how, the city was behind the Knicks. The ex-players, all the great legends, everybody was going to be at the arena. They were all behind the Knicks, how they felt like they were part of the Knicks organization in the buildup of the Knicks. And I was like, you know what, man? If Patrick Ewing believes in the Knicks, then damn it, I'm a believer in the New York Knicks. And not only that, but just the way that they were playing in the Boston Celtics series, they were closing games out. To me, that was the most impressive thing about the New York Knicks and what they were doing is that they were figuring out ways to win games. No matter who it was, someone different was going to seem to step up. And we knew Jalen Brunson was going to be there. Against the Indiana Pacers, they're the ones doing all the little things at the end of these games. The first game, if we think about that first game, I was on the couch. I was falling asleep watching the game. The Knicks were up by 14 points. And it wasn't just that they were up 14. It's the fact that they went on a 10-0 run when Jalen Brunson went to the bench with the 5 fouls. So I'm like, wow. When they went on that run with him on the bench, I was like, they got this game. There's no way the Pacers can beat them if Jalen Brunson's not even in the game and they're going on this crazy run. And what happened? I start to fall asleep. I start to shudder, and all of a sudden the lead starts dwindling down. As I'm falling asleep, the Knicks are falling asleep.
King Speech says, "Remember, fellas, Knicks are 5-1 on the road in the playoffs." Okay, so he's still holding on to hope. How about you? Are they gonna be a new team in Indiana?
Well, I did also mention this. That's a great point, by the way, King Speech Row. Much respect for mentioning that. I mentioned that also in my video. I said the Knicks on the road are just as good as they are at home. And I said that's not really good on their home record, but their home record and their road record are almost identical. I think they were like 27 wins at home. I think they were 24 wins on the road. So they were just as good on the road as they were at home. So yes, King Speech rolls on the money. They actually can go on the road here and win these games against Indiana. The only problem is Indiana is a very tough place to play, man. It's going to be insane in Indiana. They're not just going to be able to go in there and win those games. They were able to win some games, win a game in Boston, so they could probably win in Indiana. So yes, King Speech Rose right about that.
Let's shift to the Thunder because that was weird. I mean, it's not weird for Minnesota to win at home, but my God, what on earth?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. No, go ahead, Edwin. Yeah.
Well, I was on the road. I only got to see the last couple of minutes, and there's no point in watching the last few minutes. And there was barely any point in watching after the second period, or maybe the first period. So, did you watch it?
No, I watched the first couple of games, but the game last night I did not watch. And you know, what's interesting is like when I went to turn the game on and when I started to watch the game, I believe the score was like 71 to like 39 or something like that, or somewhere in that area. I believe it was when I flipped the game on. It was like maybe a couple of minutes to go before the half. And obviously, what's the point of watching the game at that point in time? But see, this is what we were talking about throughout this season, about the lopsided victories that you would see every once in a while. And, you know, when you hear Scat mention, you know, he likes to mention the point differential for a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder and how they set an NBA record for the highest point differential for a season. And one of the things that I always talk about is when we talk about this point differential, one of the reasons that is what we saw last night. You have a lot of these victories throughout the season where teams are getting beat by 30, 40, sometimes even 50 points out here. And I did a video earlier during the postseason, and I said there have been more 30-point losses in the postseason than there have been overtime games so far this year. And I talked about how some of these teams that were good were getting blown out, and you can't really explain it other than the style of play. And some of these teams get hot, and some teams are cold, and that's what you get.
Yeah, when you mentioned the huge point differential early in the game, it's sort of sad that I had to tell myself, well, it's not necessarily over, because when teams decide that they're going to do nothing but shoot three-pointers, the second half, one team can start missing three-pointers and the other team can start making them, which of course is pretty boring basketball in my opinion. But and the Thunder did exactly what everybody is criticizing the Celtics for, not adjusting, not changing. They just stuck to live by the three, die by the three. And so I don't know. That's I got to tell you, I find the matchup between the Pacers and the Knicks much more enjoyable to watch, based on the fact that it's been 1-point games. Even though at the end the Knicks started to look like they were going to pull away and then they would blow it. Most of the game I felt like was a pretty hard fought battle of actual basketball.
Absolutely, I think the Knicks and Indiana Pacers series has been very tight. The Knicks have played a lot of tight games all postseason, man. If you look at the Knicks games against the Detroit Pistons in that first series, most of those games were tight, came down to the last couple of possessions for the New York Knicks. That was part of the reason why I had a lot of doubt, when they were coming into the Boston Celtics series, because they barely beat that Detroit Pistons team. That's no knock on the Detroit Pistons. They're a nice, young, and up-and-coming team. Even the games against Boston, we told about those games against Boston. Most of those games came down to the last seconds. The Knicks coming up with those big-time plays, big-time baskets at the end of those games. And now you see the first couple of games against Indiana have come down to the last seconds, have been a very close and competitive games. So the Knicks, this is what they've done. The Indiana Pacers had some, I'm going to call them blowouts this postseason, but they had a couple of lopsided wins there against the Cleveland Cavaliers in that second round. But when we talk about the Western Conference, and you just talked about the Oklahoma City versus Minnesota matchup, most of these games, if not every one of these games, have been lopsided. I mean, OKC's been dominating Minnesota these first two games. I mean, what was the first game? 100 and something to 88? I mean, they didn't even crack 90 points in the first game, the Minnesota Timberwolves. And you look at someone like Julius Randle, we look at someone like Rudy Gobert, and we look at someone like Mike Conley. And listen, I've been knocking Anthony Edwards all season long for his attitude, the way he carries himself, and him shooting too many threes. And to me, like I said, taking a shortcut and being lazy. But this man ain't got no damn help out here. Are you kidding me? My goodness, if it ain't Nas Reed, and if it ain't Jaden McDaniels, I don't know what the hell's going on out there, man, because Julius Randle's one of the most inconsistent players I've ever seen in my life. I said the same thing about him all career long when he was on the Knicks, when he was on the Lakers. This man, you never know what you're going to give him. Julius Randle had, what did he have the other day? Single digits he had, I think, in points.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other last night, he looks amazing. This is just, what is Rudy Gobert doing on the basketball court? Can someone find... I want people to understand something. When we talk about how weak this era is in comparison, guys, understand this. Rudy Gobert, the guy that you see doing what he does, is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner. That's what he is. The man just won the award last season. So when we think about these things, we have to keep these things in mind. This man is not doing a damn thing out there for Anthony Edwards. And I don't know what Mike Conley is doing out there. They used to have Mike Conley coming off the bench. My goodness, man.
He didn't win it last season, did he? Isn't it 2 seasons ago that he got his last one? I
thought he won it last year. Who won last year?
I don't remember.
I thought he won his 4th one last year. I could be off on that.
Yeah, because I was just thinking one of these days I'm going to go back and watch one of the seasons that he won it during the regular season, because I didn't watch him. I was telling King's Speech and Zay on their live, I have to go back and try and understand how he won those, because it, to me, I get excited when he actually moves at all. It's like, oh shit, he can move.
Anyone in the chat knows. Someone check it out
Jesse,
for us. Did Rudy Gobert win it last year? I thought he won it last year.
Jesse says he did.
I could be off.
Jesse says he did. Glad Saget says he did. So, all right, my bad. My bad.
And the only reason why I felt like he did is I thought I remember doing a video about him winning the 4th one, and I said how guys like Tim Duncan, Scottie Pippen, Patrick Ewing, Kobe Bryant, they never won Defensive Player of the Year awards. So when we talk about resumes and we talk about looking in and scrutinizing resumes, if you just look at Rudy Gobert's resume and you read off, he's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, but you didn't watch him play and you didn't look into the details, then you would think, damn, this dude is a hella fine defensive player. My goodness, 4 of those awards when Pippen never won one, Duncan never won one, Kobe never won one, right? Patrick Ewing never won one. These are the kinds of things, when we talk about putting things in context and perspective, guys, that's what we're talking about.
So here's the hell of living in current media. I have someone who says LeBron was Defensive Player of the Year this year. He got robbed. And this could either be one of our people making a joke, or this could be an actual LeBron fan, because that's how delusional they are. They'll say something that should be a joke and actually mean it. I don't know. D-Life.
You know what's funny about the AOH? I always laugh when I always heard that, because I always made it like, so you're telling me that all the years that LeBron James played in the NBA, that was the only year that he was qualified to win a Defensive Player of the Year award? That's the only year. They just say that he was robbed 1 year. When you hear people talk about, someone was robbed for an MVP, a lot of times they're talking that in terms of multiple times. Oh, this guy could have won it this year. He only won it this year, but he could have won it this year, this year, this year. They'll talk about LeBron James for 1 season, just the 1 year. He was robbed. He should have won it. What about all the other years he's been playing? He was never robbed. Where were all those other years?
And it was actually LeBron who had to say it himself, as usual. He had to go on the podcast and say that Marc Gasol had his DPOY, which does anyone understand that that's just a gross thing to do, even if he did deserve the DPOY? You don't go shit on other people
Yep.
like that. Yeah, I just whatever. I mean, how many the list of LeBron doing disrespectful, disgusting things like that is endless. And speaking of, someone in the chat wanted us to start talking about Rich Paul, who is on our list of things to talk about today.
Like you said, there's a lot of things to talk about. I like where we're going right now. We're kind of easing into it right now with these other topics. So keep going, AOH.
So I think the first thing I'm going to say about it is it's interesting again that LeBron and his camp talk shit about the past constantly in order to try and lift themselves. And if someone from the Jordan camp or the old head camps does say something, then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, that's uncalled for. That's out of line. You're a hater. And a tiny bit of me says that Falk didn't need to say that, but he didn't really get crazy. Like, is it what he said is pretty believable. If and I think ESPN, some of the panelists on ESPN even acknowledged this. Like, I think Wilbon said, yeah, if Jordan had went and joined Shaq's Orlando Magic instead of sticking with the Bulls, taking the easy way out, joining Hakeem when the Bulls were starting to wear out and were facing all the shit that their GM was putting them through, like an uncertain future, sure, he might have gotten maybe not 15, but certainly. But again, we don't like to talk about woulda, shoulda, coulda, what might have been, right? That's what LeBron people do, because they don't have what has happened. They have what would have happened if we remove this book of excuses that come with the LeBron James legacy. Now, having said that, again, my point is, if anyone in the Jordan camp says anything that can be interpreted in any way, shape, or form as a slight on LeBron, all of a sudden there's hell to pay. It's completely hypocritical.
Yeah, wait. I think what you just said at the end is around the money. I think it's the wording that David Falk used that really stung and really hurt. You can tell this dude's hurt his feelings, man, Rich Paul, because he said the term cherry picked. That really bothered him. If he didn't use those words, cherry picked, if he would have just said, hey, if Michael Jordan would have, came back and, ring chased, or something of those terms, because if he would have said ring chase, that would have almost made Michael Jordan look bad too, right? So he's saying cherry picked in a way, and he doesn't like that word. He tried to use a certain word. But like you said, the facts remain. When I heard Rich Paul's response, with the one thing that I didn't hear in it was him dispute it or him say that it wasn't true. He never once said that it wasn't true, wasn't accurate. He just started, like you said, making excuses. He started talking about, he started making it a racial thing. And, he started getting all weird out there, man. This is what people do when they don't really have an answer, when they're going up against the truth, the facts. That's why we say LeBron James fans sound really weird sometimes, because they'll talk about hate, but you can never dispute the facts, and the hate can never be, or the facts can never be hate. So, and I heard Rich Paul's response. That's what it seemed to me. He was really upset at the wordage that David Falk used, the term cherry picked. He didn't like that use. He said something about it being beneath David Falk. Like, really, so he tried to take a personal shot at David Falk as saying these comments are beneath someone of his magnitude. And he even took it a step further, Rich Paul, which really shows you it hurt his feelings. He went really personal with David Falk when he said that David Falk, in fact, had his clients cherry picked, and that he only got certain players in his agency because of connections that he had and all of these other things, under the table, shady business deals, or whatever the case may be. This is how deep Rich Paul went with it. He went on to attack David Falk and his business savvy and the reputation that he's built up as a super agent over the years, man. That's how you know that David Falk was telling the truth.
What's Rich Paul have to be proud of? The only reason he exists is because of a childhood friend. You don't exist without happening to have a childhood friend, Rich Paul.
Ding, ding, ding. Exactly, AOH. How stupid does Rich Paul sound when he says something like that?
That's a deep question because it depends on how many seconds into the interview we are. Because holy shit, that guy spews stupidity. And he always wants to reuse the apples and apples, apples and oranges. And that's when he got himself into trouble talking about goats and deers and antlers and horns because he's so fucking dumb. He's so, he's so arrogant. He's just like LeBron James. They became successful before they'd matured, and they just keep sounding stupid on camera without even knowing how dumb they sound. Because once again, what do they never face? Consequences. There's no accountability. And they just start crying when people call them out for it. You're not allowed to call these people out. Being called out is what makes you better. Is it not? You don't get to go through life continuing to be the same asshole every day and ever improve. What if MJ joined Kobe, Shaq, and Phil on the Lakers, says Xavier? Well, exactly, because we know that Jordan enjoyed Phil as a coach. I think that part would have to have been attractive to him. But I also happen to think that Jordan would not enjoy having a blatant advantage. I think if it was too easy, it would be a little bit of a turnoff.
I mean, a shout to Xavier for coming through. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different stories and different things. You know, I've heard that Phil Jackson, wanted Michael Jordan to come to the Lakers in a role off the bench, in a role of a mentor towards a young Kobe Bryant, show these guys what it takes to win. I've heard stories like that. Him wanting Michael Jordan to come. We've all heard stories of Kobe Bryant himself saying that he was thinking about going and joining Michael Jordan on the Wizards, right? Because he really wanted to play with Michael Jordan. And Kobe Bryant, in fact, talking about what they would have done, what he believes he would have done with a 39, 40-year-old Michael Jordan on the Wizards, because he understands Michael Jordan's competitive nature. And the fact remains, when David Falk makes those comments about the 15 championships, what he's alluding to is Michael Jordan's ability to maximize the players that are around him, to galvanize his team to a degree that we've never seen before. Michael Jordan was doing three-peats, guys, 6 championships with journeymen, guys with journeymen that were playing minutes in the NBA Finals, guys that you never freaking heard before, man. You ain't never heard of Cliff Livingston. You don't even know who that dude is. You don't know who Bob Hansen is. You have no idea who Stacey King is. You never heard of Scott Williams. You don't know who Bison Dele is. You don't know who Judd Bushler is. These are guys that Michael Jordan was winning with that were journeymen. Steve Kerr, guys, was a journeyman when he came to the Chicago Bulls, man. Are you kidding me? Luke Longley was a journeyman when he came to the Chicago Bulls. These guys were maximizing your teammates, man. If he wanted to ring chase, he could have went and played with dudes here. He could have made moves there, but he didn't do that because Michael Jordan was a competitor. What did Jerry Krause say? This dude was so cocky, he was so great, or he thought he was so great that he didn't want no help. He didn't think he needed help like that.
Exactly. And out of that list of players that you spit out really quick, I think Steve Kerr is the only one that had post Michael Jordan success when he went with the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. He went to the Spurs, a franchise. And why was he there, Steve Kerr? Because what he learned with his time on the Chicago Bulls, they understood you bring in someone like Steve Kerr, he's going to do his damn job. He's a professional.
Correct. Something that he developed with Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan. This is the exact opposite of LeBron James. He doesn't develop people. He waits for them to be developed elsewhere and then steals them, which gives me a reason to put up King's Speech's comment. What Rich Paul accused Falk of doing, he does. The difference is Falk never funneled players to his client MJ's team. That's more than just a good comment. Yep. Because Rich Paul tampered with the NBA on behalf of LeBron James, abused his power as an agent, and literally broke the rules to tip the favor for LeBron James. That's not hate. That's not a lie. This is documented. Anthony Davis was fined for what he did with the Pelicans Lakers move. Like, he was convicted.
Insane.
And another point, I mean, I know that most of this should be obvious, but we'll put it out there just in case no one's realizing it. The type of team-ups that we just mentioned, like Michael going to the Lakers, Michael going to the Rockets, Michael going to Orlando, sound absurd because of how unfair it would be. That is what LeBron James has done, except that LeBron failed anyway. LeBron had absurd advantages and failed anyway. That's astonishing. And he, more times than not, was the reason that they failed when they had the disproportionate advantage over the other teams. I just,
No,
it's so
that's
clear.
it, AOH.
This is
That's
a
it,
clear,
man.
this is a clearly manufactured discussion about the GOAT. I mean, what I said right then alone disqualifies LeBron James.
No, you're absolutely right. That's the main thing that, like you said, it's like kryptonite when we talk about these discussions. Because a lot of times LeBron James fans, they'll always celebrate the 8 consecutive trips. They love to talk about that, right? And they'll say, oh, why are you guys always talking about 4 and 6? You guys always talk about 4, and then they'll start saying that it's a team accomplishment when you say Michael Jordan 6 and 0. But the problem for the LeBron James fans, the reality that they don't want to live in, is like you just said. The reason why we highlight LeBron James' losses in the finals is because you stack the odds so many times in your favor. So once again, we're highlighting how you still lost, even though you made super teams, even though you're getting all these trades, free agent signings, you're getting the coach you want, right? All these things. You're allowed to travel with the basketball, carry the ball, use your offensive fouling. Your teams are getting all the advantages with the free throws and the whistle. So all of these advantages are on your side, but yet you still lose more than you win. That's why we highlight that. When they try to say, oh, well, Jerry West lost X amount of times in the finals. Yeah, well, you tell me when Jerry West was able to finagle the rules, when Jerry West was able to get all billion free throws a game, and when Jerry West was able to carry the ball and travel all over the court, when he built his own teams the way he wanted to, and when Jerry West wasn't going in some weak-ass Eastern Conference, going to his trips to the finals, and the man was playing against the dynasty. He was playing against the dynasty, losing these games, and going out as a true competitor, man, a straight professional. It's not the same comparisons, man. But LeBron James is failing to do, like you talked about out here, is you're not winning when everything is in your favor.
Let me throw a couple of these up on the screen. King's Speech is like, Cliff Livingston was in Greece by 94. And yeah, Steve Kerr played 20 minutes in the playoffs in 99 and 03, says Jesse Gladsaget. And look, when I gave Steve Kerr acknowledgement that he had success on another team, I didn't say Steve Kerr was the reason they had success. And I'm not shitting on Steve Kerr either.
No, but
I'm saying out of all the teammates that Michael Jordan had that people want to pretend were super team members, none of them even experienced success post Michael Jordan, except for Steve Kerr in terms of championships.
yeah, and like you said, listen, this is no knock on those guys. Cliff Livingston, I'm not knocking Cliff Livingston. Cliff Livingston was actually brought into the Chicago Bulls to toughen up Scottie Pippen. When he came in 1989, along with someone like Craig Hodges, he was brought in to toughen up Scottie Pippen in practice. I remember him telling stories about this. When I'm mentioning guys like Cliff Livingston, is because these guys played key minutes in those finals. Not big minutes, they played key minutes. You know who passed Michael Jordan the ball when he did the switch hand layup? That was Cliff Livingston who passed Michael Jordan the ball. So when we talk about some of these guys, I mention them because they were journeymen. These were guys that never really found a home until they came to the Chicago Bulls. And they were able to find a role alongside Michael Jordan in the triangle offense. That's a sacrifice that Michael Jordan did for his teammates, which, like you mentioned, LeBron James never did for his teammates. So we never got to see Andrew Wiggins with LeBron James and what they could have maybe done. The dynamic. Maybe Andrew Wiggins would have been a greater player because he played with LeBron James. Michael Jordan would have made Andrew Wiggins into a Hall of Famer. I have no doubt about that. But we never got to see that dynamic from LeBron James because he never did that. He never stayed down 10 toes of the franchise and like you said, develop guys. He needed established guys.
Because what would you say Andrew Wiggins' number one weakness is? Like I think he.
Oh. No, go ahead.
No, sorry. It was partially a redundant question, and actually, I was going to say mental and emotional, something that Jordan would have snapped out of him, I think.
Good point, AOH.
And Miles, yes, I acknowledge Will Purdue, but Sports and Fitness Rants didn't mention Purdue out of the list. He said, I said Steve Kerr, but you're right. I actually did a video including Will Purdue. Will Purdue did, in fact, have the success also with the Spurs. Will Purdue, interestingly enough, was the trade that got Rodman to the Bulls when the Spurs no longer were interested in having Rodman, not because Rodman was this desired asset.
I mean, listen, we could also include Ron Harper, who went on to win championships with the LA Lakers. In that 2000s Lakers, Ron Harper was on, I believe, the first 2 championship teams of the three-peat, if I remember. I think he retired after the second three-peat. So I believe Ron Harper has 5 championships on his resume. Ron Harper, once again, one of those key members of the second three-peat Chicago Bulls, who sacrificed his overall game, his overall numbers to play a role. But once again, we can include Ron Harper and say he was a journeyman also. When you go from the Cleveland Cavaliers to the LA Clippers, and then you go to the Chicago Bulls, and you're trying to find a home. He found a home, and he found a role with the Bulls, man.
I Am the Dawn, or Praise the Dawn, says, we used to put the blame on the superstars. Ever since the gay ped user joined the NBA, the role players got all the blame while he gets 0. And I also want to acknowledge that that's not across the board true. That is primarily true of the guy that we call the face of the league. I actually see a lot of players in the NBA have the decency not to blame their teammates and to praise their teammates, whether it's a win or a loss. So, LeBron James is probably the worst example of how to behave that's in the league, and he's called the face of the league. Yeah, he is a childish 40-year-old.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of athletes in general that take responsibility and accountability. I think, I think what Praise the Don is probably alluding to, or that I see that's more often true, is the media. They love to give the excuses for some of the star players. And I think that's why a lot of us are like, why are we excusing the star athletes? The star athletes should be taking the accountability and the responsibility. They should want that burden. The burden's always going to be on them. They get the money, they get the fame. So the burden has to be on them. It can't be on the role players. When you talk about someone like LeBron James, he's the one that's opened that door. He's allowed some of these other guys to blame the role guys, to not take the accountability, to not sit up there in a post-game press conference and say, yes, it was on me. They'll start talking about other stuff. They'll start talking, making excuses about other things. They'll bring up other stuff. These guys are much more sensitive now. So, yeah, absolutely. LeBron James definitely is probably the biggest athlete or the biggest star athlete, superstar athlete across all sports that still, 22 years in, refuses to take accountability and blame for whatever goes on his team.
Woodage, yes, you're right. Horace Grant was starting power forward on the 0-1 Lakers. That is true. I got to tell you, that's one of the hardest post Jordan roster spots for me to remember. Horace Grant on that team. I don't know why that one really just kind of like blurs out.
Once again, when we talk about the success of other players, we can mention Tony Kukoc. Not winning a championship doesn't mean that you weren't successful or didn't have a good career, things of that nature. Tony Kukoc had a very good career. When people bring up Tony Kukoc, I believe he played for the teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, after the Chicago Bulls. So when we talk about someone like Tony Kukoc, he's mostly in the Hall of Fame due to his European career, not necessarily his NBA career. So when people talk about Tony Kukoc and they're trying to take away from Michael Jordan's greatness by saying he played with a Hall of Famer like Tony Kukoc, understand the context behind this. Tony Kukoc was a very good player, but he's in the Hall of Fame mostly because of his European career combined with his NBA career. So these are the kinds of things we have to understand. And a lot of these guys, like I said, that went on to do other things and, play on other teams, these are the kinds of lessons that they learned playing for that championship Chicago Bulls team, man. When you hear someone like Will Perdue speak in the Last Dance documentary, what did he say? Yeah, Michael Jordan may have been an a-hole. He may have been this. He might have crossed the line, right? He goes, but it worked. He was looking for a result. I always tell people, Michael Jordan was looking for a result. That's what great players are doing. They're looking for a result. And what's the result? The result is a championship. Now, there are different ways that you can get to that result. Michael Jordan's way was effective. Why was it effective? Because he got the results he was looking for, damn it. So when people try to say, oh, Michael Jordan wasn't nice to his teammates, he wasn't nice, and they try to act like LeBron James is a nice guy, I laugh. Michael Jordan was looking for a result. He's playing basketball for a result, and he got those results. So no matter how he got there, it worked for what he needed. And his teammates, at the end of the day, they appreciate him for doing it.
I've asked this before, but I'll ask it again since we have a couple of fanboys on here. Like to me, this is a no brainer, but like their brains are so different than ours that I have to ask this. Like, do you want a guy who gets in your face at practice and tells you why you need to be better? And then you can confront him back to his face? Or do you want a guy who's passive aggressive and throws you under the bus after the game and during the press conference, or gets you traded behind closed doors and things like that? I mean, that is not nicer. That's slimier. If anything, that's worse. And like, if I don't know, dude, I just have a hard time believing that in a competitive sport, people have the nerve to complain about somebody getting in your face and telling you to improve. I mean, how is that unusual? You can't tell me, Robin, that when you played sports, you guys didn't get frustrated with each other or try to encourage each other, or whether it was negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement, you tried to make each other improve.
Absolutely. And I mean, you say how I am, AOH. This is not something new. This is how I was when I played sports. I was hyped up as a sport athlete. I was one of those guys that would, be out there yelling, trying to get dudes hyped up, man. Let's go out there and do something. But at the same time, I was also that guy that I went after you in practice, man. It didn't matter if we were friends in school. I was coming. I remember kids and in the locker room sometimes being like, yo, Robin, what's up, man? They thought I had a problem with them because of the way I was going after them on the football field. I was smashing dudes. It didn't matter that we were cool. We are cool. I used to tell them, yeah, we cool, man. There ain't nothing wrong. But this is how I play the game, damn it. So once again, I'm preparing you and you're help preparing me. I can't half-ass on you out here in practice. I got to go full steam so you're ready. That's what Michael Jordan did. When you think about anything that's worth anything in life, that you have to train for, that requires effort. It's hard. There's structure there, isn't it? There's different ways to lead. You don't have to yell in someone's face, but you have to be firm with them. Tim Duncan didn't lead like Michael Jordan, but people were afraid of Tim Duncan, right? They respected Tim Duncan. Why? Because he went out there and led by example, man. He was out there giving the effort, man. That's what Michael Jordan did.
Somebody in the chats talked about Jordan on the Wizards at 40 and talking about his injury and whether or not the Wizards would have done better without that injury. But I'll tell you one thing, Michael Jordan didn't get gifted all-star or all-NBA appearances just because of his name. I mean, I'm going to do, since I did a comparison of them at age 38, now that LeBron played his first game at age 40 back in January. I'm working on Jordan's first game at age 40 and LeBron's first game at age 40. It's a completely different game, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Jordan didn't get to take defensive possessions off. And this was back when they still played defense. So it's the whole concept of defense has changed. And then on top of that, you have LeBron James not even participating in that low level of defense. And it's so bad that the media actually excuses it. They don't even pretend that it's not happening. They say, oh, well, that's smart basketball. That's what you need to do at age 40. Well, listen, if this is a charity event where you're watching old people play, then you can make excuses for them. This is still the NBA. And you don't get bonus points at the end of the game that help you win when you say, oh, you had a 40-year-old. Okay, well, then we'll reconsider what the end score was. No. Either be satisfied with the players on the floor or change who's on the floor. Don't come to us later and say, well, one of them is 40, especially when you are allowing that 40-year-old to have the easiest assignment on the court. And then I saw that Steph Curry was only second team All NBA and LeBron is also second team. I assumed that they just gave LeBron a third team, which he still didn't deserve, but they gave him second team. Holy crap. And Steam Engine actually sent me stats. He's under the weather, but he wanted to do a show today that shows exactly how undeserving LeBron James is of his all NBA selections. Forgive me, Steam Engine, you're sick. We can still do a show on it, but I think I'm going to go grab that graphic you sent me. Wow, Robin, you want to respond to what I just said?
Oh yeah, I did a video on the All NBA second team selection. And yeah, it's crazy how Steph Curry was All NBA second team, and so was LeBron James. I believe James Harden made All NBA third team, which is also astonishing to me how these guys are still on the All NBA teams. after all these years. And I said there's two ways that we can look at this, and one of the ways is what you was talking about, how the hell could you, put LeBron James as all NBA? And the second thing we can think about is the NBA that bad? Is that how bad the NBA is? That LeBron James, the guy that we want, I mean, think about it. We watched this dude play this season, man. Are you telling me that guy is a second all NBA team performer? That's how bad the league is right now? That is insane to me. Like you said, Michael Jordan wasn't going to make an all NBA second team in 2003 because you had guys like Kevin. I mean, once again, remember, Michael Jordan was listed at a small forward position when he played for the Wizards. So he would have to make all NBA selections at the forward position over guys like Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan. I mean, what are we talking about here? Paul Pierce, some of the small forwards that were playing at that time. And those guys were in their peaks. So, like I said, is the NBA that bad that LeBron James able to make a second All-NBA team at 39, 40 years old? And remember, LeBron James was never even the best player on his team. But somehow, some way, he was second team All-NBA. Now, we know Anthony Davis was clearly better than LeBron James when he played for the Lakers this season up until the trade. And we all saw Luka Doncic essentially carry the Lakers into the playoffs when he got there. So I don't know how LeBron James can be All-NBA second team when he was never even the best player on his team. When we think about Michael Jordan, the Wizards, what's funny about that is LeBron James fans and LeBron James himself is always talking about, I need more help. And he's always making excuses. So you're telling me that Michael Jordan had just as much help as LeBron James has had on the Lakers that he had on the Wizards? Michael Jordan never had no Anthony Davis type player in the Lakers, man. So what I'm saying is, like, when you think about LeBron James and what he's done on the Lakers, he's doing all of this playing alongside another all-time, or not an all-time great, let's say, but an MVP level player. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan had to give the effort he was giving, basically being the best player on the Wizards, man. We can argue if it was Rip Hamilton or Jerry Stackhouse, but I think we can say that Michael Jordan was the best player on that team, man.
King Speech and Jesse are both nailing it with comments. Might have you guys call in for a little bit if you want to interact. But I almost forgot. And I thought this exactly when they came out with the special rules about the 65 game thing. Remember, LeBron also qualified with the 65 games while others didn't. And they made the old age exception, which benefited who?
That's right.
They made the old age exception. Oh, man. LeBron didn't even play enough games for the rest of the NBA, but he's on the All-NBA team. Talk about gifting some bullshit. Jesse said LeBron has made 4 All-NBA teams while missing at least 25 games. No other player has done that more than twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at LeBron James in those early Laker years, that's why I tell people, if you look at how many games LeBron James has missed in LA, he missed just as many games as Anthony Davis did, man. He had several seasons playing under 60 games, playing under 55 games in those early years in LA, man.
Let's see. I think you forgot to mention the unfair advantage that Jordan had of playing with Popeye Jones, though. I mean, he carefully selected who he came back and played with.
That's right. I forgot about that. The powerhouse team that Michael Jordan came back to, that he cherry-picked to come back and play with Popeye Jones and Eton Thomas and Kwame Brown and Christian Laettner and Charles Oakley, who was just as old as Michael Jordan on the Wizards. He came back and played with Juan Dixon and, what was it? What's the other guy's name? Whitney. I think the guy's name was Whitney, his last name. All these guys. Like I said, Jerry Stackhouse.
I'm going to put a graphic up.
I mean, you remember what Rip Hamilton said about his time with Michael Jordan, that first year that Michael Jordan came to the Wizards. He said that he learned a lot of valuable lessons from Michael Jordan during practice, during the games, that season that he took with him when he went to Detroit, and eventually he became a champion.
Yep. I'm going to pull up this stat. Here it is. That's pretty small. Let's see if I can blow that up.
What is that, the plus minus?
Yeah. And this is what Speem sent me. LeBron's All-NBA charity case. Look at this. 2025 All-NBA plus minus. First team, Giannis with a plus 334. We have a plus 918, plus 594, plus 534, plus 522 on the second team, 291. We have Braun with a negative 54.
Yo, you know, see, I mentioned that also in the video, and I said I asked Jim from Self Research NBA Facts. I said if Jim is out there, Jim, go look into the NBA history books. I don't know, go back to 2000 maybe, and I want you to look and see how many players since 2000 had a negative plus minus and made the All NBA second team. And I started to do this research. It's a very long and tedious number, searching for plus minus and going through all these players that were on the All NBA first and second team and what their plus minus was. And I did the first like 7 or 8 seasons from 2000 to like 2007. And I only found one player that had a negative plus minus during those 7 or 8 seasons that I looked at so far from 2000 to 2007 that were on the All NBA first, second team. And that player was Tracy McGrady. And I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 2003 or something like that. It was a year that he was on the Orlando Magic. Now, the thing about the Orlando Magic that year and Tracy McGrady was that the Orlando Magic were 21-61 that season. 21, and that's right, 21-61 that year. And clearly Tracy McGrady was carrying that Orlando Magic team by himself, essentially, on that team as the best player. When we compare it to what LeBron James is doing this season, like I just mentioned, he was never the best player on the Lakers. He was never in a position where he had to carry the Lakers. There was never a time when the Lakers were a poor basketball team to that degree. They were competitive. That's what we said. They were actually winning despite that negative. That's insane.
I'm looking at the graphics still, and oh man, where'd it go? God damn it. I'm looking at Jalen Brunson is the lowest guy there, and he's at 140 plus 146. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, LeBron's not even in the fucking positives, which is bad enough, but the other guys are. That's the lowest one is plus 146, and we have guys that are plus 546 on the second team. Yep. I'm gonna look up third team. You want to read some of the chats in the? Can you see them all?
I'll read some chats off. Once again, yo, shout out to everybody that's coming through the live stream, guys. We really appreciate it. The Jesse Glad Saget coming through all the time. Eric Ramirez, I am the algorithm. Shout out to Hoop Oracle. My man Hayden Phoenix. That's why he's called King Minus. That's right, man. That stat makes LeBron look more pathetic than he already is. LOL. Shout out to my man DJ DOGG31, man. 95% of LeBron fans own a pair of Jordans. 95% of Jordan fans don't own a pair of LeBron sneakers. That's right, Hoot Oracle. Round the money. Renee 43. LeBron actually put up a tweet. That's right, put out a tweet congratulating himself. That's right. I was actually going to do a video on that this morning, but I didn't.
Of course he did.
That's right, he does. This is what he always does. He loves to congratulate himself.
Oh, LeBron fans, you don't understand what's distasteful about that. Even if he deserved it, which he didn't, like do you honestly not understand why that's embarrassing?
When I'm talking about honorable, that's what we're talking about.
Yes or no?
Statement.
I don't want to get into the psychology of it, because if you can say no, I don't understand why that's unclassy, then you got to go back to second grade and start therapy. We can't fix it at this point.
Did you see his tweet?
No, I didn't know.
I saw it.
But you can tell I'm not surprised at all.
Nope. He's like, yeah, 40 years old, man. I can't believe it, man. This is crazy. Thank you. I can't.
Oh, man.
That dude is so corny, man. I swear.
The lowly one with the super chat. Thank you. He says, I had to come through. I appreciate you that you did come through.
Yeah, the lowly one. What's up, man? Thank you very much for coming through.
So I found they don't have the plus minus on ESPN's all NBA third team. So let me look somewhere else. I'll bet you that StatMuse or Land of Basketball.
Yeah, StatMuse has it. I mean, it's just really interesting, like I said, because when LeBron James, remember, LeBron James was being celebrated as an MVP candidate this season, even though he was negative in the plus minus. I don't believe there's ever been an MVP candidate to have a negative plus minus like that, man. Are you kidding me? Like I mentioned, Tracy McGrady had a negative plus minus that season because his team had 21 wins or whatever they had. They were a terrible basketball team, man. He wasn't going to be an MVP caliber player or candidate on a 20-win team, man. LeBron James being an MVP candidate with a negative plus minus is a slap in the face to all the other players that are playing in the league, like I said, that are lifting their teams up, that are actually being a positive net rating on the court. You know what's really also funny? All of a sudden now LeBron James fans act like, oh, who cares about plus minus? Now all of a sudden you guys care. It's not that we care about plus minus. What we're doing is highlighting the facts that LeBron James is celebrated for statistics that he puts up that have zero impact on the game. That's what that's highlighting, man.
Yeah. Well, look, you can't have it both ways. They talk about LeBron's plus minus when they want to manipulate it. And then when his plus minus is terrible, then they don't want to talk about it, or you LeBron fans don't want to take it seriously. I agree. The plus minus, it's kind of a boring thing to talk about. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it does make sense, or maybe everybody thinks it does make sense. I don't know.
What's interesting on AOH is that, you're just talking about this plus minus now. If we think about LeBron James in the NBA Finals, he's also negative in the NBA Finals. I mean, it's insane when you think about this stuff, guys.
Thank you, Jesse. I was having a hard time finding this. Jesse came through for me. In 2022, LeBrick was third team All-NBA and was negative 117. Every other player was no worse than plus 146.
Yo, the Jesse Gladsack, thank you very much, man, for coming through and doing some research for us, giving us the details, giving us some of the facts, man, and clarifying some of this stuff. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Fanboys, I just got to ask you, are these not good points? Instead of suddenly deciding that, oh, why do you guys care about plus minus? You don't find this a little bit weird? You don't find these numbers to be a little bit astonishing and suspicious? Just answer that. I mean, we can talk about whether we take plus minus seriously in another conversation, but let's start with the information that's being fed to the public. Because as Robin has pointed out in a past video, this is all about building LeBron's paper legacy, about being able to later on say, oh, look how many All-NBA selections he has. Undeserving, but how many people are going to do the research? Shit, LeBron fans don't do the research now. You're certainly not going to dig into the past and do research to see if people deserve something. You don't care that he doesn't deserve it right now. Of course, you're not going to care when you look back. Speaking of looking back, Rich Paul talking about revisionist history. Rich Paul, you didn't know that term until you heard other people talk about it because of what LeBron fans do, what the media does. Fucking Rich Paul talking about revisionist history. Jesus, what? Am I in a sitcom? Is this real? Rich Paul is talking about revisionist history.
I was thinking the same thing when he said that phrase. The same thing, AOH. Like you said, that's all LeBron James does on his podcast, Mind the Game. It's revisionist history. He's trying to rewrite his own history, and he's trying to bend reality. That's all LeBron James does on his podcast.
And that's a question I would also have for fanboys. You don't get tired of LeBron just making excuses for what has happened? And how quickly he runs to the shows. Like immediately after getting eliminated. Oh, Steve Nash, come hug me. Steve Nash, tell me how it wasn't my fault. Agree with everything I say, please.
I'm saying, man, Steve Nash's face when he has to sit there and listen to some of this stuff. I get it, man. I get it, Steve Nash. I get it, man. But the look on his face is just so obvious sometimes. When LeBron James said that he was taking natural vitamins, and Steve Nash said, you're not even taking creatine, and LeBron just said, no creatine. The look on Steve Nash's face was like, dude, this is not part of the script that you told me that you were going to answer. You said you were going to say yes to creatine. You said no. What are we doing here? That's the look he had on his face. He was completely baffled when he said, not even creatine? No. And then he started talking about smoothies again. Dude, it's insane.
Steve Nash doesn't fight back at all. I mean, I don't know. Do we need to talk about here? I'll throw it. Do you think that Steve Nash, a little bit of it is just having fun with this and laughing inside of his head? Or do you think that he's just fully on board? Yeah, I have to sell out for the paycheck. Or is he like cleverly, I'm just going to sit here and let LeBron hang himself? Like, are you giving Steve Nash any credit? Because I'm pretty much just disgusted with him. But do you think like any of this is clever?
Listen, look, we don't know these people personally. I don't know Steve Nash personally, so I can't say how savvy he is, how clever he is. But if Steve Nash's personality is anything like his basketball game, then I'm going to say that he knows deep down inside what he's doing and what LeBron James is saying. He's laughing in his head to me. I think that, yeah, Steve Nash needs some money, or maybe not needs the money, but yeah, the money doesn't hurt. And like I said, this keeps Steve Nash relevant because I've said several times in my videos, where was Steve Nash? We hadn't seen him since Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving ran him out of Brooklyn. We didn't know where he was. So it's good to see Steve Nash again out there. So like I said, maybe he's using this. Maybe he's the one using LeBron James. He's using his savvy to get his name out there, to get himself out there in that way.
Well, that would be the nicest version of the story. But one way or another, I find it kind of disgusting because you're correct. Steve Nash is way too smart of a basketball player. He's too funny on camera. Usually funny people are pretty smart. If he's willfully playing dumb for a paycheck, I can't respect that. Now, if there's some sort of deeper purpose, like a diabolical plan that's going to be turned on LeBron later, that might be a little bit of a fantasy. But hey, I have a long list of topics. What else is burning in your brain? Do you want to talk about the weightlifting? Do you want to talk about Aaron Gordon?
Let's we could listen, we could talk about the Shaq and the Fool MVP also.
Oh, right.
Since we're talking about LeBron.
Of course.
Give me 1 minute, AOH.
Sure. Jesse, you want to call in today? King's Speech, you want to call in for a little bit? We might keep it short, but if you just want to hop in, hey, let's get some super chats going, people. Pickings are slim. I know I sound like a beggar, but for Sports and Fitness Rants and myself, YouTube has been very unkind to the truth tellers as of late. Self-researched, by the way. We should have you call in too. So let's read what self-research said. Rich Paul and LeBron love them some Scottie Pippen to diminish Jordan. But what's hilarious to me that from 88 to 93, it wasn't Pippen who was second in win shares, but Horace Grant. Oh, I told my members months ago that I had a video about the Jordan didn't win anything without Pippen thing coming. And I got distracted again by all of LeBron's daily absurdities. But you're on the money. I'm coming out with one. It actually shows that Scott Williams is who saved Michael Jordan. So go ahead and run with that one, LeBron fans. Michael Jordan didn't win anything until Scott Williams joined the team. And Gemini Girl. Hey, Gemini Girl, welcome, and thank you for the generous super chat. Lamar Odom, Savannah's husband. Wow. It's not often that people are meaner than I am. Sorry, I get the two mixed up. Can start the next season in a wheelchair, and LaMedia will still swear he's one of the top players in the league today. He'll also make an all-NBA team. Don't give them any ideas. Yeah, well, like Steve Nash, if Sports and Fitness Rants is on the money at all with the Steve Nash thing, then that's what I'm doing. Just give them something to hang themselves with. I'm just giving them a little more rope. Go ahead and hang yourselves.
Sorry, wait.
No worries. I was telling them how I have a video about how Scott Williams is who saved Michael Jordan, not Scottie Pippen, because Michael Jordan didn't win. Michael Jordan didn't win anything until Scott Williams got there.
That's right. That's right, man.
Oh, okay. So that again was some shit that Rich Paul brought up. And do you know who was interviewing him? Whose show was that on?
I believe it was Rich Eisen.
Oh, Jesus. Disgusting. Just sit there and let him say it. So Rich Paul said, and I'm curious, does Rich Paul learn stupidity from LeBron fans, or do LeBron fans get it from Rich Paul? Chicken or the egg? Where does the stupidity originate? Because he said what LeBron fans say. Oh, we literally have people making millions of dollars criticizing LeBron James. And all Rich Eisen had to say was name one, because that's the first thing I thought. Seriously, maybe they exist. Listen, fanboys, those of you who are getting your panties in a bunch in the chats, it's a very simple question. Yep. Name one who are making one organization or individual, whether it's a YouTuber or an actual sports network, actually making money doing nothing but criticizing LeBron James. Just one. I know I can name, well, pretty much it's the entire list that are revolving around praising LeBron James. And if you look at YouTubers, the guys that are making money are the ones that are doing what they're supposed to do and praise LeBron James. It's actually us truth tellers that are down in the financial cellar. Don't tell us we're making millions. And don't tell me that sports networks are making millions criticizing LeBron James, especially when the closest thing to a LeBron James critic was Skip Bayless, who whenever he would make a good point would get yelled over and would just switch to giving LeBron James compliments. Offensive compliments, by the way, saying that he's the best driver of the basket. Really? Yep. Really? If that's true, how did the 2007 Spurs shut him down by clogging the lane? You can't be particularly good if you can get shut down that easily. The best passer in the league.
Yep.
This is while Nikola Jokic is blowing people's minds every single night with his passes. And again, everybody out there, I'm not saying Jokic is the best player ever. I don't even care if he's the best MVP, but his passing blows my mind. And you have Skip Bayless sitting there saying LeBron is the best passer in the league. Better than Magic. Better than Magic Johnson, Skip Bayless said. This is as close to criticizing LeBron James as we get these days. And we have Rich Paul up there playing the victim card. Oh, all these people are making money being mean to LeBron James. Who? One. So, how about in the chat? Somebody? One organization that is making a shitload of money just off of criticizing LeBron James? I'm going to read McZuggins. Remember when a month of plus minus was proof the team was terrible without him last fall, when it shows the opposite? It's a fake hater stat. Neat. Thank you for the super chat, McZuggins. Yep. Yeah, I did the whole video where Rachel, whoever the redhead was, went on and with Skip Bayless. With Skip Bayless saying, with LeBron James on the court, the Lakers are a plus 5,900. When he leaves the court, they're a negative trillion. And I went and I broke down the games. And this is another layer, because they actually lie. The few times that LeBron James had a positive plus minus, I'm sorry, everybody, I think they're lying. Because I went and looked and I was like, the only time that the Lakers did well was when LeBron was on the bench. Every single time he went to the bench, the Lakers clawed their way out of a deficit. And here's Rachel Nichols and Skip Bayless telling the world that the Lakers are terrible without LeBron James. And this shit goes deep, people, because I'm not making up what I just told you. I did an in-detailed video about it. How do you explain this shit? I got Jolly Joshams. Hello, Jolly Joshams. Thank you. Good to see you. Sorry, this shit's bouncing all over the place. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. Let's keep them rolling. I was telling everybody while you were away, I was playing the beggar. I was like, it's been slim pickings slim pickings for us these days. And
no, I want
making our millions. I'm sorry, the $1 million I made last year off of LeBron James is gone. Sorry, everybody, I blew it. I blew it living in my van. Jolly Joshams, I don't have much to say, just letting you guys cook. Thanks for making Sundays that much better. Thanks for being here for it, Jolly.
Thank you, Jolly Joshams. What you were talking about, what Rich Paul said about the he was talking about it as a 24-hour news cycle for LeBron James. And, he actually said that Michael Jordan didn't have a 24-hour, 365 news cycle, which is laughable to me. I mean, even to this day, Michael Jordan is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, man. Michael Jordan can't step foot outside anywhere in public without being swarmed by people. Every time you go on social media, whether it's Instagram or whatever it is, TikTok, you'll see people trying to capture video of Michael Jordan just walking by them. Oh, look, and what do you see? A crowd of people swarmed around this man. He still needs security, even though he's over 60 and hasn't played basketball in 20 years. Michael Jordan, the things that he's dealt with throughout his career, is part of the reason why Michael Jordan is a recluse to the level that he is. Because the man's been dealing with this level of stardom 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, since the man came into the NBA in 85, man. So what the hell is Rich Paul talking about? You got nerve to say that about Michael Jordan, man. You think that Michael Jordan could just walk out anywhere? You think people didn't criticize Michael Jordan? He didn't get critiqued? They wrote a book about Michael Jordan called The Jordan Rules during the Michael Jordan's first three-peat. And in the book, it literally is talking trash about Michael Jordan and his treatment of his teammates. It's literally stuff from behind closed doors that was shared with this author. They mentioned
Written
this in
by
The Last Dance.
Right. It was written by a Chicago beat writer. That was basically an inside betrayal.
Right? Did they write any books about LeBron James? I haven't seen these books against LeBron James. I haven't seen that. They literally wrote a book. Yeah, just because they didn't have computers like that, or we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we get all of that. There were still newspapers, magazines. The reporters were more ruthless back in the day. These people were at your neck. Anytime Michael Jordan slipped up a little bit, these mothers were on him, man. They were on Michael Jordan, man. Are you kidding me? Not to say that Michael Jordan was only criticized and he didn't get celebrated. Absolutely, Michael Jordan was celebrated. But for Rich Paul to say that Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with a 24-hour news cycle is laughable, Rich Paul. What world are you living in? That's why I say, to me, you can't tell me that these guys grew up in the 90s. How could you tell me you grew up in the 90s watching this stuff, but you're going to sit there and say that Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with this kind of level of scrutiny? Come on, man.
You know what it makes me think of? It makes me think about shark attacks in the news, because it happens so rarely that they have to make a really big deal out about it. And then people start thinking, oh my God, it happens all the time. And the reality is it like almost never happens, but you wouldn't know that because, like if it happened all the time, it wouldn't be as interesting to report on. LeBron James fucks up constantly to where you can't even keep up with it. And instead of the media jumping on that, they give him a pass. And then Rich Paul has the nerve to say that LeBron is the most scrutinized player because of the media, when in fact the media has been used to create the image that LeBron James is in fact something that he isn't. Yep. It's certainly been more advantageous to LeBron James than disadvantageous to LeBron James. Jimmy James says, can I get a crumb of third team all NBA, says LeBron James. Catch up on a couple of super chats here and think about what you're salivating to talk about next.
No, we got to talk about this Shaq to the Fool.
Oh, right. Of course. And I already read Jolly Josham's and got a lot of good comments in here. Forgive me, everybody, for going past a few of them. Xavier would like us to rank these players from least to greatest, or at least favorite. MJ, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, Duncan, Bill Russell, Wilt, LeBron, Shaq, Curry, and West. Are you up for that? That's a bit of a challenge right there.
I'll do it in terms of my favorite, I guess. I guess that's just easier, I guess. I don't know, man. Let's see. I'll go with Michael Jordan. Then I would probably go with Wilt Chamberlain. Then maybe no, if I'm going with favorite, then this is hard, man. I'm going to go with favorite. I'm going to go Michael Jordan. Then I'm going to go with Magic Johnson. Then I'll probably go with, damn, man. I don't even know, man. It's hard, man.
It's all right. That's like a separate show. That's not a
maybe
simple
I'll go
question.
with the greatest. I'll go Jordan, Wilt, Kobe, Magic, Bird, Russell. I don't know, Hakeem, Duncan. I don't even know if Hakeem was on that list. I might just throw him in there.
Yeah, he's
LeBron would be last. I know LeBron would be the last one on that list. I'm not putting LeBron James above Steph Curry or anybody else on that damn list.
no. Michael Silberg says they push lies to an audience that won't fact check. Yeah, it's a pretty good strategy, isn't it? you can get away with a lot these days, can't you? Hey everybody, the sky is orange today. Don't look out your window, but the sky's orange. Trust me. It's not that serious. It's not that serious. Says salute to you two. LeBron is the most coveted champion to ever exist. The Ray shot, Boga injury, green suspension, bubble.
Yep.
West is better than LeBron being 1 through 8 without Kavitz. Without Kavitz, LeBron is 1 out of 10.
No, he's right, because there's a caveat to a lot of LeBron James' championships, man. So, like he mentioned, if you because the LeBron James fans try to flip the script on Michael Jordan that way. They'll try to put caveats in Michael Jordan's resume by saying that Paxson saved Michael Jordan or Steve Kerr saved Michael Jordan. But in reality, Ray Allen technically did save the Miami Heat. He saved their season with that shot.
Yeah, Gemini Girl, it's a good point. The speed.
Gemini Girl!
The speed with which LeBron's camp responds to anything resembling criticism shows you that the world does not revolve around LeBron James criticism, because you can actually pick it out when it happens. You're like, oh, go get him. Uh-oh, there's somebody stepping out of line. Go get him. You're right.
Yeah, that's a great point by Gemini Girl. And, when I've heard other content creators mention the fact that Rich Paul was very quick to jump out here on David Falk, but they got nothing to say about Shale Sonnen, though.
La Abagnale says, when the Lakers played, our team watching him live is even worse than watching him on TV. I always wonder what it's like to be a real Laker fan sitting in that arena around all of these fake Laker fans cheering for LeBron James. That's got to be a terrible experience.
Yeah, it's really weird out there, like I said, because LeBron James fans they don't care about anything but LeBron James. They just don't care about the NBA, because if they did, then they would be upset with LeBron James. You would be upset with him. You would hold him to a standard.
Jolly Josham says, clearly journalists back then were all plumbers and firefighters, just couldn't report like they do today. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I remember the reporters back in the day, like I said, they were ruthless. They would come at you and they would ask you hard, difficult questions. They would put you in awkward positions. And I remember, and I did a video on this, I remember when Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was suspended from the NBA because of his religious beliefs, not coming out for the anthem before the games. He would stay back in the tunnel. And they asked Michael Jordan, they put him on the spot in the locker room, all the microphones, all in his face. Hey, man, what do you have to say? Remember, Michael Jordan is the face of the league. That's a burden that's on him. He has an obligation. And what did Michael Jordan do in that moment? Did he say, next question, I have no comment? No, Michael Jordan stood up and spoke up on behalf of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. And he said, I thought this was a free country, that you're allowed to express your religious beliefs and believe what you want to believe and this and that. And he stood up for Mahmoud Abdul, when he could have easily said, I got no comment, next question, I'm not going to talk about that. They put Michael Jordan in that spot, in that position, and that's what he did.
What will happen to the Lakers this offseason is the last comment before we talk about Shackton. And just what I think is interesting about that is how people always say, oh, the Lakers are spent. They've made all the moves that they can. And yet they always come up with a way to make a move. And how many people heard Rob Pelinka, that soundbite, where he said, obviously LeBron has big expectations of what we're going to do in the offseason. I was like, Jesus Christ, you emasculated prisoner.
Yep.
Like, who's running this organization? Could it be any more clear that he isn't? I mean, he sounded like he was the one being interviewed for whether or not he was keeping his job, a performance review. Rob Pelinka has a performance review under LeBron James every year, multiple times a year. Kick us off. Where do you want to start with the Shackton a fool thing? I can only imagine what LeBron fans are saying in response to that. And guess what? Oh shit! I guess I have to bite my tongue. I mean, if a major media network actually included LeBron James as Shaqtin' MVP, you're right. They did it once. There's the millions of dollars made making fun of LeBron James. He's deserved it every year, people. I mean, maybe JaVale would have given him a close run, but
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right, go.
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, the thing about when I was looking into this stuff, because I did not realize that Shaqtin' the Fool had went on, or as long as it's been going on. It's been going on since 2012. So it's been going on for
Wow.
quite some time now. And they've
Wow.
given out the award every single season, essentially, except for the 2020 NBA season. And there's a couple of interesting things about the Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. Russell Westbrook has won it the most. I believe Russell Westbrook has won it 3 separate occasions. And Russell Westbrook actually won it during his MVP season. So I want you guys to think about something right here. This is what we're talking about when we say this is how the media portrays a player like Russell Westbrook. Even in his MVP season, they put him as Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. All right, so I want you guys to think about what they do to Russell Westbrook when you hear LeBron James fans talk about how he's scrutinized and how he's hated on. They gave him Shaqtin' the Fool MVP during his 2017 MVP season. All right, that's number one. Number two, I want people to think about this. LeBron James was voted on by the fans. This was not given to him by Shaq. This was not given to him by Kenny Smith or Charles Barkley in an attempt to be funny and, let's have fun with the 40-year-old LeBron James in year 22. No, he was actually voted this award by the fans. They started a fan vote, I believe, in the 2019 season, if I remember correctly, or 2021, they started a fan vote. So LeBron James was voted on by the fans. And LeBron James was actually runner-up in 2018 for the Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. The only reason why he didn't get it is because he lost out to Joel Embiid, who's one of the most Shaqtin' the Fool idiots out there in NBA's history. I want you guys to think about the list, and I'll let you go, AOH. There's a list of players that have won the Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. I want you to list some of these names. I just mentioned Russell Westbrook. I just mentioned, you mentioned JaVale McGee. Kendrick Perkins has won a Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. So Kendrick Perkins and LeBron James have something in common. Lance Stevenson has won a Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. You guys remember Lance Stevenson, who was blowing in LeBron James in the playoffs? You remember that Lance Stevenson, guys? Otto Porter Jr., Jordan Poole has won this award. These are the guys that have won the Shaqtin' the Fool MVP. And don't forget, James Harden.
Otto Porter Jr. won it. Interesting. What year was that?
I want to say it was like 2016 or something.
Huh. I think that you mentioned it in one of your rants, that 2018, when he was runner-up for Shaqtin' MVP, was supposedly his demon year, where he was this unstoppable guy. And then that's when he got 4-0 swept in the finals, right? It's hard to remember because he's got so many sweeps and gentleman sweeps that I'm like, which year was that failure? Epic failure, historic level failure. Which of LeBron's historic level failures that no one else has had happen in their career are we talking about?
Exactly. That's what we're talking about right now. And when you really think about the 2025 NBA season for LeBron James at 39, 40 years old, and like I said, we've detailed this season. We've, chronicled this season throughout on YouTube. And what have we seen from LeBron James? The same old over the last 10 seasons. LeBron James not making the cross half court. That's a Shaqtin' the Fool moment. LeBron James arguing with the referees while the play's going on behind him. That's a Shaqtin' the Fool moment. LeBron James laying down on the court, rolling around the floor when no one touched him. That's a Shaqtin' the Fool moment. We've seen LeBron James on bended knee. We've seen LeBron James load manage. We've seen LeBron James standing in the corner, blowing on his hands while his man cuts behind him. And then he looks to his teammates in disgust as if it was their fault. Those are all Shaqtin' the Fool moments. Do not forget LeBron James hitting the side of backboards. Do not forget the lowlights of LeBron James stumbling and bumbling all over the court like a clown. Don't forget LeBron James always looking at his teammates. Don't forget the trades that LeBron James is needed. Where's D'Angelo Russell? Can anyone find D'Angelo Russell? We don't know where he is. Don't forget the coaches that have been fired for LeBron James. These are all Shaqtin' the Fool moments.
I haven't watched it. I don't know which things they chose to include, and the reason I say that is I feel like I could put together a Shaqtin' MVP episode of LeBron James using 1 or 2 games, much less a season.
Yep.
Jesse Glad Saget is nailing it with the comments. Voters fatigue is the only reason LeBrick doesn't win Shaqtin' a Fool every year.
That's true. It's true. Listen, he's got the highlights or lowlights for it. I told you, if you want to go low light for low light, it's hard to beat LeBron James at his best, man. I mean, the low lights from LeBron James are spectacular.
Lala says he wouldn't even be in the playoffs in the past few years if it wasn't for the play-in tournament created just for him. Renee says, good one, Jesse.
Yep. Right.
Oh.
And remember, the Lakers were barely making the play-in, even though they were a plus 500 in the free throw department. These are the kinds of advantages that we're talking about that LeBron James has gotten, and yet he still barely makes a play-in.
Full Venom Jacket. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Send this illiterate clown to the big three already. I can't wait to be excited for my Lakers to draft the next homegrown great. I'm sick of this glory hunting mercenary. Hashtag not top 10.
Yep.
Hey, and speaking of, they were talent cultivating before LeBron got there and just had to throw it all out the window to appease him.
Where's Don Connect? Where was Don Connect in the playoffs? Don Connect, another casualty of playing with LeBron James on his team. The man got no playing time in the playoffs.
Yeah. What did he do wrong? How many other rookies performed as well as Don Connect did during his rookie season? Like, that guy looked really good this year.
Yeah, and remember, that's despite playing with LeBron James, who's going to stunt his growth. LeBron James stunts these guys. Remember during the early part of the season, guys, when the Lakers were looking like a decent team and Anthony Davis was an MVP candidate. He was top 5 scoring, top 5 rebound, top 5 shot blocks. Don Connect was a Rookie of the Year candidate early in the season. But what happened throughout the season? LeBron James stunted Anthony Davis by shot jacking and going crazy, not playing defense, and he stunted someone like Dalton Connect.
So I know that you ranted about Aaron Gordon, and I'll make it interesting by saying something nice about Aaron Gordon's comment, that at least the reporters asked him the question and he was responding to a question, and he was injured and he said it would have been nice. And yeah, guess what? If you're injured, I bet you wish that you had a month of rest in between games. But the interesting thing is, because you're a sports and fitness guy, and we both remember when we were driven by our coaches to do things that at least I can't imagine doing now. But at that time, your body responded to it, and it allowed your body to endure the hard times, the big games, and allowed you to be in better shape than the opponent. And sometimes that was a difference maker. And again, we hear about these guys need more rest. Well, they get more rest every year, and we see more injuries every year. That's not very good evidence that you need more rest. And you also have the old guys that, LeBron fans want to say look very unathletic, who somehow, being that unathletic, were able to endure more. They had less time. They played more minutes. They had to play both sides of the ball, which I can't believe I even have to qualify that. Of course you did. It's not football. It's not special teams. It's basketball.
Right.
But I didn't hear very much of your rant. What set you off the most?
Well, I mean, listen, what you just said about Aaron Gordon being asked the question, you're right about that. And it wasn't necessarily a shot at Aaron Gordon personally. Like I said in my video, I respected Aaron Gordon. I like Aaron Gordon, man. Like I said, he had a really good postseason. Aaron Gordon was really good this postseason for the Nuggets. Him not being 100% was a big blow for the Denver Nuggets. No doubt about it, man. And I understand his frustration, and he looked like a defeated person during that, press conference after the game. So I get all of that. The one thing, though, that we have to understand that I feel like the players today are not grasping onto, and I feel like people are not grasping onto, or people who are defending, some of these guys' comments with these kinds of things, is that I think they're still trying to make it seem, or they're failing to realize that the guys who played back in previous eras, it wasn't easier for them to do this. So for them to play, listen, they've been playing 82 games since 1968, guys. 1968, man, not 1998, not 2008, then 1968. So we can't make it seem as if these guys were dealing with an easier world, right? An easier reality, an easier game. It was more physical. They didn't have, look, these guys had the advantages over the guys in the past. That's what we have to understand, number one. Number two, also, how are they promoting these guys? They're promoting them as bigger, stronger, and faster. They keep telling us, oh man, the guys of today would destroy the athletes back in the day, right? We've talked about this stuff. Oh, the guys are so much more athletic than they were back in the day. So you can't promote the game that way and then have Aaron Gordon say something like this because that slaps or that's pale in comparison to those comments. But the one thing that we have to understand, and I feel like once again, the players are not understanding this or they want sympathy from us. It's hard to be a professional athlete, man. This is not supposed to be easy. It's
Thank you.
supposed to be hard. You're
Thank
supposed to
you.
be hurting the next day, damn it. I know how it feels. I get it. I never played on that level. But damn it, when I play full court basketball, the next day I'm hurt, man. So I get it. I understand it. But it's not supposed to be easy. When I talk on my channel about health and fitness, man, I say the same thing all the time. I don't look like this by accident. The people that you see out there that you look up to maybe, or that maybe you want to look like, or you want to strive to be like, they don't look that way by accident. They're not the way that they are by accident. All right? So you have to understand these things, man. These guys that are professional athletes, it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to be, damn it, this is hard as hell. How the hell are we supposed to be ready for another playoff game with only 1 day of rest? That's the way you're getting all of the money for that reason. So that's the one thing we have to understand here.
I did a video on this. It may be 2 years ago already because of this crying about needing more sleep or rest. And it's the entitlement thing again. We're in the age of entitlement. And I thought the exact same thing as you. When did we get convinced that these guys are owed long careers? You're using your body in war for your career. And you're getting paid a lot more money than other people do because you are going to have a shorter career. You are physically using your body to make your money. So, and you make a shitload of it. So why on earth do people suddenly think everyone should have a super long career? Go out there, play your ass off. If you're partially injured, play anyway, because you fucking aren't supposed to play forever and you're supposed to win. And, you know, and this makes me think about Aaron Gordon's injury versus Steph Curry's. I don't know. I know Scap Attack on the Sunday show said that Aaron Gordon's hamstring strain was worse than Curry's. And then Aaron Gordon comes out and plays. Well, I don't understand. If he's correct, that raises a lot of questions because in my mind, then Steph Curry play. You don't have that much longer. And the Warriors don't look like they're going to set you up with like an easy win anytime soon. So fucking go out playing. I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to retire hobbled, but again, you guys are getting paid a stupid amount of money to play a competitive sport.
Yeah. I think what you're talking about, AOH, is something that I was talking about in the video also is I don't think that a lot of these guys take care of themselves in the off season or train the way that they're really supposed to train. I don't really think that they take it that serious. And I think a lot of these quote unquote trainers that these guys hired, that they have, I don't think these people are really that qualified. And I think all they have is paper qualifications. They have paper resumes. They have these certificates on paper. But I don't think that they're really worth a damn as far as training and understanding what it really means to be fit and to be in shape and have a professional athlete ready for the rigors of an NBA season, man. So I think that's what you're also. The thing about Steph Curry with the hamstring versus Aaron Gordon, it relies on athleticism. Absolutely. I get that. But when you think about Steph Curry's game, the only way that he could be effective is how? When he's running all over the place, coming off screens, moving without the ball, doing Steph Curry stuff. And to have a hamstring injury, it just probably wouldn't allow him to do those kinds of things. And I'm not saying that Steph Curry was, weak or, pain thresholds are different for different people. That was what we're talking about. When we talk about the older generation guys, and we were going to talk about the FYF comments and how he talked about how these guys didn't necessarily lift weights back in the day because they were scared to hurt their jump shots or hurt their overall movement on the court. that once again gives more credit to those guys then. So they weren't necessarily working out or exercising like these guys have the advantages to do today, but yet still those guys were still available more often than these guys are today. So that speaks to the level of toughness that those guys had. And once again, a certain sense of obligation and a certain sense of love of the game. We've talked about this before, AOH. The reason why people like us are still playing sports, a lot of you guys out there in the chat are older than I am. I'm 44 years old. I still play full court basketball regularly. Why do I do that? I'm not getting paid to do it. I do it because I like playing basketball. I really enjoy running around. I like to compete. I like to sweat. I like to bang into people. I like to play basketball. And I just like playing the game. But I always tell you guys, I also understand there's another side to this, that I know the next day I'm going to have to pay for it by dealing with some level of discomfort and pain, whether it's my back, my feet, my ankles, whatever it is. I have to deal with those kinds of things. There's the same thing the NBA players are dealing with. Once again, to another degree, no one's ever comparing us to professional athletes. But like we mentioned, they're getting the compensation and they have all the advantages to be prepared for another game. These guys in the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, and up into the 90s were playing back-to-back playoff games. So there was no rest for those guys, and they were still out there doing it.
Robin, you don't just have to deal with it. You have to go to work on top of it, not go to your trainer, not go to your massage therapist, not get in the super healing machines that they have nowadays. So listen, somebody in the comments said they want to keep getting paid. Well, of course they do. We all do. And the rest of us are going to have to work until we're 65 or so to make crumbs of what these guys made. Be thankful. Try replacing all the excuses with thankfulness. You were blessed to get to play basketball and play a professional sport and get paid millions of dollars to do it. And you know, for me to sound like I was criticizing Steph Curry is interesting because I don't picture him as the type of guy who doesn't want to compete. But I was very confused about the different levels of hamstring injury and seeing what Aaron Gordon was able to do, and whether or not we even know whether to believe what they say the injuries are. Like maybe Steph Curry's injury is even worse. I'm not trying to call out Steph or Aaron. I'm confused about the diagnosis and then the after effects of it. And you mentioned the weightlifting. FYF really goes out of his way to find ways to hate on the old school, while then, of course, we'll complain that people criticize today. I'm older than you. I don't know if you remember this, and it's partially because I grew up in a small town, and it's also because of how old I am. Weightlifting was not common at the beginning. It was introduced. Weight training, resistance training was introduced to people. So FYF specifically said these guys were uneducated. Okay, if anyone's uneducated, FYF, it's you. But to try and go that route of like making them sound like they were dumb, it wasn't around. So you're going to need to say everyone was dumb. Like you'd see the weightlifters on the magazine covers and they looked like they were from another planet. You're like, what the fuck is that? But I remember guys actually being worried about affecting their shot if they lifted weights. And why wouldn't you be? I mean, and if you... Sports and fitness rants, you can't tell me that you haven't had a hard workout and then tried to play basketball right afterwards and your arms are jelly and you're like, okay, that did affect my shot. Obviously, they're talking about long-term affecting your shot. Well, again, it's not that weird for people to say that it might affect their shot when all of a sudden this new training routine and they get a lot stronger is introduced to their lives. And again, I emphasize, it was introduced. We didn't even have weight training until I was in high school. We didn't have a weight room until I was in fucking high school. and listen, maybe we were just behind, but I doubt even in small towns that that's been true for the last 20, 30 years. You know, like it became standard. Everybody changed because the concept was learned about. Everybody got educated together. That's just time. You don't get to call people in the past dumb because they didn't have the privileges and the advantages of the things that you have now. All right, go ahead.
You know, it's like, I don't think people really understand what we're talking about here. When I'm talking about the world being harsher and harder for these people back in the day, our fathers, our grandfathers, even the people before them, I'm talking about everyday simple tasks. So what we're alluding to here is the reason why a lot of these guys are weak in the way they are today is from an early age. So when we say these guys didn't lift weights and why it wasn't prevalent is because you didn't need to lift weights because your everyday life required you to use your muscles in a way that children and people don't use their muscles today. So when you look at people in society, they have a similar look. People, I call it soft. Everyone looks soft now. They don't look like they have any musculature, like they've ever used any of their muscles. They look soft. And why is that? Because you're lazy. Everything is comfort now. So what am I talking about, Robin? Let's go back to when we were kids. Let's go back to back in the day when your father was growing up or your grandfather was growing up. A lot of these people walked to school. They didn't get driven to school. They walked to school. So what are you doing? You're using your leg muscles. You're using muscles that we're not using today. A lot of these people had jobs early on that were manual labor jobs. So you're working with your hands every single day. When you think about playing as a child, you had things like monkey bars. That requires strength. You're pulling yourself up on monkey bars. Anyone that climbed monkey bars as a kid understands a certain level of strength is required, or you're going to hurt yourself on the monkey bars. We also did things like climbing trees when I was a child. This requires strength, coordination, all of these things. So as you're growing up, you don't necessarily have to worry about lifting weights or going and working out because your life is requiring you to use your muscles to grow up. So you're developing naturally the way you should. When you look at a lot of these guys from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, they're built like grown men who grew up using their muscles, not necessarily lifting weights. So yes, people exercised and lifted weights in the 50s and the 60s. Guys like Bob Pettit were one of the first people that was known for exercising. We all know about Will Chamberlain and his prowess working out and exercising. There were a lot of players, but when it's funny when you look at a lot of the players from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, when you look at their bodies, just look at their bodies and look at the players today, their bodies. It's a completely different body. When you talk about toughness, it's not just the physical, it's the mental toughness. You think that it doesn't take for some kind of mental fortitude to climb up on a high monkey bars or to play a game like dodgeball with older kids who are pummeling you? This takes mental fortitude and toughness when you're growing up, scraping your knees out there on the court, scraping your knees when you're riding your bicycle. Kids don't ride bikes anymore. They don't ride skateboards. They don't do any of this stuff. So like I said, our parents, our grandparents, the people back in the day, their lives from day one was a lot more physical and harder. That's why these guys were tougher.
Yes, sir. I rode my bike, walked, ran to school. Man, today they fly past on the sidewalk on these electric things trying to kill you. They have no respect for people. They're about to run over old women on these electric things. And of course, they're all obese. I'm like, you need to be using your leg muscles, not riding this electric thing. Anyway, enough old man complaining. We have 93 Zay hopping on for a little bit. Good morning, Zay.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? I just tuned in. I didn't get the notification y'all went live, man.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, then we would have to start over for you to know all the shit we already complained about, huh?
Yeah,
what up, Zay?
Sure. What's going on? Sports and Fitness Rants, my brother.
Yes,
is there going to be a W for the Knicks tonight?
I know they're in trouble, man.
That's what I want to know, man. That's what the streets want to know. I see. Hey, yo, everybody. Yo, it was funny, man. Last night, King's speech was, he was still down in the dumps.
Yeah.
Are y'all down in the dumps in New York? Y'all woke up and prayed to a Biggie photo this morning. What's going on, man? What's going on in New York today? How's the weather?
The Knicks are in trouble right now. You know what? I was thinking, I remember when the Knicks went up 2-0 on the Chicago Bulls in 1993. Yo, everyone in New York was going crazy, man. They were going nuts. And I remember one of my neighbors. He was a huge Knicks fan, and he was mad nervous. He was like, yo, I don't know, man. You know Michael Jordan's going to get mad. You know what happened when Michael Jordan gets mad? He was scared as hell, man, and that's what happened. We was riding too high. We were too confident, man.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
They were tearing the city up.
I made sports and fitness suffer through the Knicks thing at the beginning of the show. You're making them go through it again. double punishment.
It's funny because before the series, y'all were so geeked. All y'all wanted to do was beat the Celtics. And they're like, oh, Knicks in 5, Knicks in 4. Oh, we going to the championship. We win in the ring. And now you're down 0-2. They came into the Garden in Halaban. Just Halaban let it off, man.
Hey, You already got spanked for that once, didn't you? He's still going. He's still going with it.
You know what's crazy, man? Is my dad is actually rooting for the Pacers, man. He likes Halliburton, man. So it's really been funny, you know, because I was over there the other night watching the game, man. And my dad, you know, said we grew up watching the Knicks, man, room for the Knicks, but he likes Halliburton.
He likes Halliburton.
Yeah, he said he reminds him of my youngest brother.
I want to see you and your dad in a shouting match, man.
Bro, man. No way, man. I'm scared of my dad.
Mason says SGA better tighten up his crop top for game 3.
They said the reason why he lost is he took the sports bra off. That's why.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He needed his superpower, the sports bra.
Hey, somebody said that you called. There's somebody I think is full of crap in the comments talking shit about you, Robin. But they said that you called Giannis fat. There's no way. I don't believe that you said that. Did you call Giannis fat?
Who said that?
I'm not going to acknowledge them. He's obviously just some hater. Hater, yeah. Magic word.
Giannis is one of them guys that keeps himself in shape.
Hey, Captain Siakam, man. Well, y'all have an answer for. Are y'all going to start Mitchell Robinson today?
Yeah, I heard some whispers. They were talking about benching Josh Hart for Mitchell Robinson. But see, Mitchell Robinson sometimes, these guys, Karl Anthony Towns frustrates me. Mitchell Robinson frustrates me sometimes because both of these guys, sometimes they're just like goofs out there, man.
Yep. I told y'all about Cat. Y'all didn't believe me.
I know Cat, man.
Oh,
Cat is doing the same thing Julius Randle be doing.
Hey, Randall at least showed up in 2 of these games.
That's true.
You know, they both showed up last night. It was a beautiful thing to watch when the referees aren't involved. You see who he turns into. SGA turns into a fry cook. That's as simple.
Yeah,
it's just that simple.
Yeah, no, I don't like the comparisons to Kobe Bryant. I'm not feeling that.
My God, disrespectful.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. I'm not into that.
Hey, Zay, email me King Speech's email, and I'll invite him on if he wants to hop on.
Yeah, man, King Speech ain't never sent me. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can find it.
Or you can. I'm angryoldhoops@gmail. If you want to email me, anybody.
I saw Zay was talking about that Shaq to the full MVP too.
Oh, I could send him the link. I got his number. I'm gonna just send it to his phone number.
Yeah, Zay did a video on it.
On what?
The Shackton MVP.
Oh yeah. Yep.
What was I about to say?
I'm sending.
We got until
speech right now. There we go.
Let's read the super chat from Sonny. MJ in 1990 was concerned about weight training affecting his speed and jumping ability. There was a news report. Well, again, listen, those of you, I don't know if what direction you're going with that, but I already admitted, Zay, you weren't on yet. I'm old. Weight training was introduced to us. Weight training was introduced to us. You know, no hiding. We didn't know about it. And when you're an athletic freak like Michael Jordan, who can basically fly, there's a pretty good reason that you don't want to break or fix what isn't broken. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Anybody familiar with that term? You don't fix what isn't broken. I can sympathize with that. Jesus Christ. How much more did Michael Jordan need to improve? Well, obviously the Pistons beating him up. He needed to put on some weight, and it turned out great. But I'm just the people who have the advantage of today's knowledge, and everybody lifts weights and everybody knows about supplements and has all of these supplements. You don't get to clown people for having a little bit of suspicion about something that's introduced. All of these supplements.
Sorry, y'all.
God damn it, Zay. Don't ever do it again. I mean, listen, like we were saying, if you're training the right way, that's the key here, man. Like I said, everyone thinks they're an expert now. I see a lot of these trainers with these players, they're trying to reinvent the wheel. When you look at the training that Michael Jordan was doing, what Tim Grover had him doing, he had him doing traditional exercises, man. This is what he was doing, strength training to become stronger. So that may not necessarily inhibit your overall game. to become stronger is not a bad thing. A lot of times, like I said, I don't think these guys are training the right way. I don't think that they're exercising in a way that's going to help strengthen their tendons, their ligaments, their connections with their muscles, all these kinds of things to make them better at the sport that they're playing. And one of the other things that we have to also mention, a lot of the guys today, a lot of the younger generation of kids coming up, they don't play multiple sports. They try to specialize in
Mm,
basketball. So they spend a lot of time just playing basketball. When we were kids growing up, like I mentioned, you listen, I used to play tackle football outside, just
that's
tackle football. That's what we did. You played
Nope,
tackle
nope.
football, man. So when you think about a lot of these things that you did as a child, this is what I'm talking about. You just were tougher because you had to be, because your childhood required you to be tougher, but you also played multiple sports. A lot of the guys back in the day, they were great overall athletes that played multiple sports growing up as a kid. A lot of the guys now, they play basketball. So you're not really getting that balance overall with your development if you played multiple sports growing up.
You know what else we played? I told my girlfriend about this because we were talking about things that you said ignorantly growing up and that you learn you don't say. We played something, forgive me everyone for this slur, but we played Smear the Queer when we weren't playing an actual football game. And you know,
I know about that.
that was some ballsy shit. Like you held onto that ball right until you lost the nerve to hold the ball. And you were about to be. You're about to be. You're on, by the way, King Speech. We can hear you.
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm in gross. I saw you that's on email. Yeah, I left it in a private chat if you pick it up.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. I mean, man, there's a lot of stuff y'all done covered today, bro. So much stuff. It's so funny, man. The playoffs are going on. It's a great playoffs, and he's not even in it, and yet he found a way to make himself news so many different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like I said, Uncommon Sense. If y'all saw that Uncommon Sense video, he absolutely destroyed Rich Paul, like killed his intelligence level. Y'all covered it as well, but it's like he doesn't even realize how hypocritical he was. You know, to come at Falk and then talk about revisionist history when that's all they do over there. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah. Look, as far as the Knicks, bro, Zay, bro, like I said. That Biggie poster that you had on the wall, that reminded me of Reservoir Dogs, right? Sheik's Burst. You know what I'm saying? Taking shots at Louis to our fall. You know what I mean? That's how we coming in tonight, man. We coming to Indiana, ready for war. Like, it's not over yet. So, you know what I mean?
New York people are different human beings.
No, look. As I said, man, I'm a long suffering. I told you, y'all need to check my channel. Y'all need to check my channel. I did a whole thing about the New York Knicks, a long and hard history of the New York Knicks. And, you know, it's been hard, but you know what? At the end of the day, look, the Final Four, none of them have won a championship since the 70s. And even the Pacers, the only one that won a champ were the Pacers, and then OKC were the Sonics in 79. So eventually, you got to just break through. You know what I'm saying? We're in a hole right now. I believe we're a better team than Indy. Look, Indy got a really good team, but I believe we got a better starting five. I believe we until now we finished games better. You know, OG Anunoby, you still need to dribble out that clock. Like, why did you go up for that dunk? If he dribbles out the clock or waits to get fouled, there is no overtime. There is no Halliburton shot. You know what I'm saying? But it's what it is. And like I said, I call for Tibbs' head either way because this is the problem. Tibbs is the coach that got us here, but we're gonna have to get somebody to bring us to the next level. It seems, you know. And even if we do, you know, I was sitting there. Yeah, I was sitting there like, yo, let me tell you something. See, while you giving Halliburton all this credit, Ben Shepherd has turned this series around. Ben Shepherd, I don't even know his first name because he not only hits clutch shots. He not only hits clutch shots, he also pounds pounding Jalen Brunson. You know, and this is my point. The same way you guys went to Shannon last night, Tibbs don't go to these guys that could come in and actually change the course of a game, you know? And that's been my issue with him. So, you know, we'll see tonight. He's making a lineup change apparently, so we'll see what happens.
So Jimmy James.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
Jimmy James with the chat. Jimmy, did you want to hop in? You've had a lot of good comments today. So has Jesse Glad Saget. If MJ would have done the LeBron Zesty squats, he could have played another 7 to 8 more stat padding seasons. And this ties in a little bit to what I was saying earlier. It's like do we have to watch everybody have a long career, or can we just enjoy a short, fantastic career? I don't know if you guys heard, I was saying, and we could do a yes or no answer. Let's just keep it short. Do you think it would be better for, let's say, a Steph Curry to play through an injury for his last couple of years, or to try and extend his career 5 more halfway years? And you put that next to MJ, played hard and gave us everything he had straight through. And then he had the Wizard years, but he gave us everything he had as a 40-year-old also, to where he was draining black goo out of his knee. But, would anyone actually like to have seen the zesty squat version of Michael, who played another? What does that mean, by the way? Is this like hinting at homosexuality, or
No, you didn't see that video of him doing those squats?
I know, but what does zesty mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what I figured. Since everybody talks about Shea and zestiness, it makes sense. I can't get that billboard of him outside my hotel window out of my head and just staring into my bedroom with his sex bedroom eyes.
Speaking of, did y'all speak on LaForty James and Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers was on the Joe Rogan show, and he said they were talking about LeBron being at the Diddy parties, man.
No way.
Yeah. It's trouble. Fanboys are in trouble. Fanboys. You're in trouble.
Not good, man. It's not good.
Aaron Rodgers said his name too. He said, "Hey, I could just play the. It's a quick.
Wait, so Aaron Rodgers was there too?
Well,
why does Aaron Rodgers know this?
Listen to this.
Many guys were on video saying, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party." How many people like openly talked about being there? LeBron? Yeah, how Ashton Kutcher, all these people. Like, you guys all went. You didn't see nothing? You didn't see nothing? Yeah. Donnell? I don't quit.
It's a little quick snip. I gotta go watch the whole clip, but I just got sent that. So I'm like,
Well, we got to be better than LeBron fans and hold off on speculation and wait until we have the facts. I mean, I'm not defending LeBron James, but until we
LeBron said it. He did say it though.
He did say
it. Oh yeah, he said that, but that's different than being on video doing something. I mean, I'm not defending him. He said there ain't no party like a Diddy party.
I want to know why LeBron James would say that there's no party like a Diddy party, because that either lets me know one or two things. Either you heard about the weird, crazy things that they were doing that you would make that comment, or you were there and you witnessed some of the weird, crazy things that they were doing and you would say that.
Why couldn't he just be kissing Diddy's ass while they were on a FaceTime together or whatever that was?
When you say it the way that he said it, and you see the face that he made, and you see Diddy's reaction to LeBron James saying it. See, this is what we talk about when we talk about context. This is the context. Look at Diddy's face. Look at LeBron James' face. Look at the way he said it.
Okay.
They weren't bobbing for apples at that party.
They needed IVs.
Once again, shout out to anybody out there in the chat that ever bobbed for apples. Once again, you won't see people doing that these days.
They might drown, right?
Yeah, think about all the germs that we used to get bobbing our mouths and the same thing as everybody else.
That is pretty nasty now that I think about it.
That was our childhood. That's why we were tougher. Our immune system was tougher.
Well, then maybe we have a parallel to draw here. You try and protect these players from playing sports that are going to have their bodies ready to play sports, and then they get hurt. And you try and protect all these kids from germs that would help them have an immune system against germs, and they all get sick and die. Or then again, their parents are feeding them poison also, so that's not helping anybody. I mean, look people eat for breakfast now. The kids going to school with their fucking power drinks for breakfast. Jesus Christ.
Oh shit! Whose mic is?
Exactly. That's exactly true, man. Like I said, you see kids coming to school with Dunkin' Donuts, culottes, and all kinds of glazed donuts. And these are kids in elementary school, man. You kid frost and stuff all over their mouth at 8 o'clock in the morning. What are we doing here?
The Jesse Glad Saget, LeBrick fanboys bob for apples in hot dog flavored water. Wow. God damn, Jesse.
God damn it.
Hey, Zay, people are expecting a belt to ass video based on yesterday.
Yeah, man, it's just been a lot going on this weekend. You know, been trying to get time.
I'm just
in
asking. I was just going to ask people if one was coming, so they know.
No, I didn't plan on it today.
Okay, no worries.
These games are just. I'm streaming the games. We're going crazy on the streams. Me and King Speech should be on the stream later on for the Knicks. You guys are more than welcome to join, of course, most definitely. Definitely you, Robin. You even got Knicks colors on today.
I told you, I have disassociated myself from the New York Knicks. I'm not doing any videos. I'm not talking about them. I'm not wearing my Knicks gear anymore. I'm done. Every time I do, they lose. Every single Listen, man, I was at my brother's house 2 years ago when they were going against the Miami Heat in the second round. And I was like, yeah, the Knicks gonna get the Miami Heat, man. They gonna get the Heat, man. We was talking trash, man. We was all hyped up. They never won a game after that. Not a single game after that.
You just had Knicks colors on last Sunday, not even 7 days later.
Can't do it. I'm jinxing them. I told you, it's Patrick Ewing's fault, man. He had me all hyped up.
Who is this Shadur Samor? Is he a dedicated hater of your channel that's followed over to here? I don't believe this. He says that you said SGA was Michael Jordan of the present. Did you say that?
I have no idea what they're talking about. Listen, they know that I got the facts. The only way that you can stop sports and fitness rants, and I'm not trying to speak of myself in third person, man, is once again, you have to lie and try to bend my words, man. They know I got the facts, man. SGA, he ain't close to Michael Jordan. I ain't never said nothing like that. You crazy?
That's what I figured. Man, what do people think they're gaining by coming over here and just typing lies? You're fucking crazy.
It's all documented. It's all documented. So if he said it, find the clip.
It works.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
As Sports and Fitness says a lot, these guys will never make their own video. You know what would happen if you guys went out and looked for evidence and tried to make your videos? You'd come across evidence. And it's not evidence that any of you, it's not what any of you all want to see. It's not what Nick Wright's telling you. The world of Nick Wright is not the real world. So keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed and live in your little world.
I apologize for the background noise, guys. I'm walking to the store, so there's a lot of. I'm in New York. I'm in the Bronx, so.
You're gonna be walking to the cemetery tonight.
Come on, see, Zay is funny because Zay was just as nervous as me, and then his T-Wolves came out and did what I said they supposed to do in game one. Take the rock to the basket, attack them boys, and he got a good win. And now he's just throwing shots. Now I was supporting him, and he don't believe that we can do it. I'm not saying we will do it, but we definitely can beat these boys tonight. I'm just saying.
Mob bosses used to say back in the day, like, hey man, you going sleeping with the fishes. That's where you going tonight. That's where the Knicks going sleeping with the fishes tonight, man.
You in that casino hate boat with the Knicks. I get it. I understand, man. I get it though. I really do.
I apologize to everyone who's getting on now because we got through most of the content. We're just I don't know if we're in the weeds or we keep picking on poor Robin, the New York guy suffering. We're talking old head stuff. We were talking old head stuff on Zay's live last night. And speaking of old head stuff, I am the algorithm says drinking water from garden hoses made me a heck of an athlete. You know what we did? You know what we did at football practice? They had a hose at the end of a big long PVC pipe that had holes drilled in it, and we all just like went up. So we were all drinking this everybody's spit as you go down the line, basically.
I've seen that. Yeah, man, we had triple sessions, man, in the burning heat. my high school football team, like I said, I remember a lot of this stuff. Like I just said, like you just had to deal with a lot more back in the day. Like I said, I refuse to believe that the people have it easier back in the day than they do today, man. It's just insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Having to hang your clothes up and shit. You know what I mean?
Word.
Mason, you mean calling in, or do you mean becoming an official panel member? Ever since the season ended and Dart got banned, I think we're figuring things out as we go. I mean, I got a copyright ban. Zay got copyright ban. Dart has been just executed permanently.
Terminated. That's crazy. They terminate Dart before they terminate.
Oh, we stand with Dart, man. Dart getting his channel back. I believe so. I believe he going. We got to stand with Dart, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy what happened to him, man.
For real, man. It's crazy. It is.
Oh, Mason wants to call in. What do you want to talk about, Mason? I'm at my end.
Yeah, I gotta get going though.
And I might do another one in the afternoon, but I gotta go get some exercise and get some beer for the game. Zay, you're going live. You're calling the game live today, right?
Yeah, me and King's Speech. We're gonna see King's Speech. We'll have an emotional, meter.
Like I said, I've been through the night. You gotta understand, man. I've been through Reggie. I was right there. I've been through the Reggie. I've been through the Alonzo Mornings and the Jordans, man. I've been through that. This is nothing. Halliburton is like. I mean, think about Thanos, right? Jordan was Thanos. Halliburton's like Loki. Okay, like in terms of villains, like come on, bro.
Halliburton is 150 pounds of horror coming through New York.
We're gonna get our Hulk out, puny guard. That's what we're gonna do, bro. We're gonna get our Hulk on with Halliburton. It's all good.
I like the confidence.
It's gonna be the funniest stream, y'all. I promise you. If the Knicks lose, this will be the funniest stream.
So, and Zay is mad at me. Zay is mad at me because I told him, and you would agree, AOH. They went belt to ass, right? But it's only one game. Don't get too happy because OKC.
Well, sure. I was still, either way, going into that game, I said, "Look, man, this is it, Ed. This is it. You gotta do this." And I was turned up from start to finish.
You're right. And your boys did what I told them to do. Stop taking all them goddamn threes. So look, Hartenstein is a good rim cover, but y'all can get to the basket on Hartenstein and check. Stop settling for threes.
Yeah, but they hit their open shots yesterday. That's the problem.
It all sets up. Oh yeah, Gobert actually had a nice couple of steals and stuff last night. A couple of defensive plays. But
when they were up 30.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. One couple of ways we're up 10, 15. He got some steals in the first half. Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's all they got to do is take it to them boys. And then same thing. I think they figured out SGA and that foul baiting. Like just stay disciplined. That's the thing. You get to see him over and over again, and then you realize his bag is not that deep. And if you got a good disciplined defender in McDaniel, just refrain from fouling them. Or give them something. If you're gonna foul them, actually foul them. Don't get a little touch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they did.
They knocked that good at his ass.
The call-in link is up, by the way. We'll take maybe one or two short ones, and at least Robin and I have to bounce. And remember, everybody, Zay and King's Speech are going live for the game later. And we have McZuggins. McZuggins, how are you doing, man?
McZuggins.
McZuggins, you're on.
Big Zuggin.
What up? Zuggins out.
Try again, McZuggins.
Man, hey, SGA going for 30 free throws next game, though. He definitely is. But, hey, he was the leading scorer last night with 14 points. Come on.
No.
Mr. MVP.
Crazy.
He only had one regular season game where he scored under 20 points. He's had 3 this playoffs.
But see, this is what I'm talking about. How can a 68-win team get beat down in that fashion? That's insane to me.
Yeah. This is complete insane. That was the worst playoff defeat in their playoff history.
68 wins.
Yeah. Because you forget they still have the Sonics history still, technically. So this is the worst beatdown in that franchise's history.
Get Down says he didn't. Get Down says he didn't even try to score. Is that true? I wasn't watching. I was
after the first half, he was done. This was the largest margin of defeat in NBA history for a team that won at least 65 games.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what's interesting? Rob, oh no, go ahead.
With the summer coming up, are you going to have more availability to do more lives?
Yeah, man. I mean, all I'll be doing now is housework, man. Like I said, it's the first summer in my new house, so I got a lot of housework going on. But yeah, I'll be available so we could do our thing this summer.
Cool.
My kids will be at camp.
Yeah.
Drinking out of hoses.
Drinking out of hoses. Running around in sprinklers.
McZuggins, you're on again.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic. How are y'all doing?
What's up, man? Happy Sunday.
You as well. I just wanted to toss out a thing that's come up a couple times, and Zay, I know I was so excited to see you covering that Steve Nash training routine of greatness or whatever the hell that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that later this week. But he makes a comment in that's been going around. I don't know why it's gaining popularity the last month or so, about that whole thing about, well, they didn't have the scrutiny back then. They didn't have the televised games back then. They were less televised. So that's not fair. And, we only look, the idea being that we only look worse because you see us play way more often compared to before. Right? This sort of thing. I got curious about that a couple weeks ago and went and go look, because I remembered every day on the news back then, they would talk, even if it wasn't televised, they would talk about what happened or the box score. There was always news articles. There was always commentary on it, even if the game itself wasn't televised. So sure. I got curious and I went and looked back, and I just did a basic, I'd say it's a margin of error, maybe I don't know, maybe 0.2 or 0.3. I didn't break down every single game. But just as a basic, just looking through some of the seasons, the variance in their performance is 20 to 30% worse now for stars now, over 30% for most seasons for LeBron James, than it was back then, even just going off the box score. Even if you don't look at it at all and don't compare the games, the way the game was played, they have abysmally lower lows and then also some higher highs, but they're less consistent, not more. And that's even when they play all 82 games. The one season LeBron James played 82 games was 2017, I think, 2017, 2018. That season, he had a 30% higher, it's like a volatility score, 30% higher variance in his performance night to night than Jordan did at 82 games, 95, 96. But then you look again when it's 55 games or 60 games or 72 games, and it's the same. So the load management doesn't even do anything for that at all. So I don't know. To me, that just screams that that's just clearly risk management. It's got nothing to do with performance. It's got nothing to do with anything. It just has, there is no basketball argument to it whatsoever, and they are clearly less consistent now than they were then.
And that's the thing with LeBron, is that his game, it's random. If you go and if you look at Michael Jordan, you look at Kobe, you knew what spots they wanted to get to, you knew what shots they wanted to get to, what how they were coming out of the triangle. But when you look at LeBron's game, his the way he scores is just so random. That's why his scoring nights are up and down, because he doesn't have a go-to move. He has to kind of fill out the game in order to score. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily going to end up winning you championships because, you know, he's lost 6 of them. But
no, they say it'll win because it'll save you for May, right? It'll save you for the playoffs. That way you'll have more energy. And then what do we hear this year? Oh, fatigue. We just have no energy. That's all the problem is. Like, oh, okay. How's this working out for you?
Good stuff.
When you say when they start talking about Steve Nash, you said Steve Nash said something about we only look worse because we are on TV more often.
No. Hang on. No. Steve Nash was talking to LeBron James, and LeBron James echoed this again. He was the one who said that. Well, you forget that in those days, those games were not televised as much as now, so they weren't looking as hard at them, implying that we only remember them of being so great back then because we didn't get to see them a lot.
Yeah,
but if you look at the damn box score, that's false. They're more consistent. They do better.
Yeah, I was about to say that might be one of the dumbest things I ever heard in my life because, when we talk about the guys, for example, what do we talk about? We talked about the All-Star game, right? We've talked about the All-Star game over the last several years. And what did we talk about with the All-Star game? We talked about how these guys are out there lollygagging, they're not really playing the game. So we talk about in relation to the past All-Star games. We're not misremembering the past All-Star games. We watched the past All-Star games. You can go back and watch the past All-Star games right now, and what you'll see is what we're talking about. You'll see guys being called for travel violations. You'll see guys being called for carries. You'll see guys fouling all up and down the court. You'll see guys fouling out in All-Star games. You'll see guys having 3-second calls being called on them. You'll see 24-second shot clock violations happening in the All-Star game. You wouldn't dare see any of those things today. So we're not misremembering a goddamn thing out here. So when Steve Nash or anyone will try to say that, people are being seen more today or the guys weren't being seen back in the day as much, so we're remembering them for being greater. No, we remember them from being more consistent. When you talk about the load managing guidelines that's set in the NBA, when you talk about the flopping guidelines that's being set in the NBA, why didn't they have those things before? Not because those guys were perfect. Yes, those guys flopped. Yes, some of those guys may have quote unquote load managed on games. Maybe they didn't hustle every single minute of every single game, but it was the consistency at which those guys did give effort, at which they showed up to the games. So they didn't have to have a requirement or a minimum put on them. It wasn't taken away from the overall game. The same thing with the All-Star game. It always worked as East versus West, not because we misremembered that way, because it always was that way. That's all they needed. Now they need gimmicks. Now they need a play-in tournament and in-season tournaments. It's nonsense.
I would actually go further with it and say they're not televised and still putting up the same numbers. Like, what does that say about the attitude to win compared to now? If it's not televised, I'm either not playing or I'm going to put up, 10 points?
Right. Right. They were playing to win. And you mentioned the stupidity of the televised TV thing. And when you say stupid, I think of FYF Sports. And he tried to jump on this and said, "Oh, the only reason you guys don't know that Jordan actually flopped is because he didn't have as many televised games." And then it turns out that he actually had more televised games than LeBron in this era of the Lakers getting record level televised games. Like he didn't even fact check before he posted a desperate attempt to hate.
What's even crazier about that is that Jordan brought more people to watch the game. You know how many people's grandmas watching the game? People were rushing home, getting into car accidents, trying to get home from work to watch the game. Come on,
hey, careful, Zay. Careful, Zay. They're going to jump on that and say Jordan caused people to have car accidents. At least LeBron doesn't do that.
You know what I mean? You know how long it take you to get from one side of Chicago to the other? Man, come on, dude. Like, they have to stop.
Hey, McZuggins, I got to let Mason in here for a little bit.
Cheers. Let's get everyone else. But thank you guys very much.
Yo, thank you very much, man, for coming through.
Good stuff as usual.
Yeah, great points.
And right before he comes on, Lulu mentions in the past, guys like McGinnis, Buck Williams, Anthony Mason, Kevin Willis, etc., were bulkier than any modern day players, which I've done proving that it's actually true. And since mentioning Anthony Mason, I'll use as an excuse to bring in Mason, who has been in our chats all day long. What is burning on your mind, Mason?
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yo.
Man, listen, I just want to say first and foremost, as y'all can tell, I am not a big fan of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But the thing about it is, I have to be honest, he is a really good player, but it's his antics on the court in and of itself to where it just gets me scratching my head to where you don't need to play this way. He could just play the game as honest as any superstar that's come before him, and no one will have any issues with him winning MVPs or the honors that he does. I mean, you just think of the first 2 games in this Minnesota series, where you'll have this dude who is literally feet off the court, diving into players to get free throws. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then you see game 3 when the refs aren't giving that entire team any of that leeway, and they're getting blown off the court. And I'm a huge Giannis, Jokic, and Jokic fan. And so even though overall my team is Knicks, by the way, sports fitness, we're going through it right now. We're going through it right now. I think Cat needs to take a seat on the bench versus Josh Hart for a little. No, but back to what I was saying though. So even in that Denver series, when I'm watching it, and Denver is an inside-out team. They really have been ever since Jokic started going on this tear. And you're seeing the refs aren't letting them play their game to the point to where people say Jokic is getting locked up by 6'5" guard. It's like, is he really getting locked up, or is this dude acting like Dora's backpack and jumping on him and squeezing him any chance that he gets?
Literally.
I mean, this shit's ridiculous. And then even when he's getting to the nail, right, you'll see multiple guards and wings grabbing up on him before Hartenstein or Holmgren is defending him. It's just like, even that 3-game stretch where he looked terrible, you can't defend it. He looked bad. But when you're watching those games, it's just, there's context behind why he is playing as bad as he has been. Because when you see an anomaly like that, you have to think to yourself, it's what is happening to where this player who's never played like this before is starting to play this way. Then when you start watching the games and you start to see how they officiate it, and then you look at SGA, how they officiate him, it's like, I can't respect it. I can't respect it at all whatsoever.
You made me think about the excuse making cycle that LeBron fans make, saying, well, LeBron is doing that because that's the way the game is now.
Yeah.
Or it was Adam Silver's fault for softening up the league. And now we see, as you pointed out, SGA is a very talented basketball player. He doesn't need to be doing the things he's doing, but if you reward him for that behavior, then he's going to
keep doing it.
Now, he as a grown man can choose to not go that way. He can still choose to play the right way instead of try to go to the free throw line. But, again, we're just continuing in LeBron's footsteps. Blame someone else. Blame the league. And indeed, the league does deserve blame, because just referee consistently, and all of us will be happier, and players will be forced to play to their actual ability, rather than us doing what ESPN is doing and praising SGA for his ability to foul bait. I mean, that's where they go with it. Oh, he's guilty of foul baiting. Well, instead of criticizing it, let's now compliment it.
Exactly. And he's kind of funny that you mentioned the ability factor, right? So you think of it with Michael Jordan, how his game improved from his rookie year to, when he was first called Air Jordan, and then his second three-peat, he was called MJ. And you could see the difference in terms of his game style as he got older, how he shifted more towards his fundamentals, and even in his Wizards years, which, by the way, if you actually look at Michael Jordan's Wizard years, before he cracked his kneecap, the man was top 5 in MVP voting that year. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, I would go back and look at the old games, and I'll even go and try to find old news articles to read. It's like, what people really think about Michael Jordan, when he played. And people were like, man, like, he looks like he's going back to his old Bulls form, and mind you, at the age of 40. Then when he cracked his knee, obviously once you're that old and you haven't played in a while, your body's just going to fail on you, but it kind of makes me think to where, let's just say if MJ didn't get hurt, how much would his legacy even have improved? And he wasn't going to win with that team. Everybody knew it. But it's the fact that at that age, he could have probably taken that team, which was really good defensively too, mind you. A lot of People don't remember that, at least before he got hurt, that they were really good defensively and they were young and they could run. If you take that team to the playoffs with a veteran and a bulldog like Michael Jordan, and the fact that he was as skilled as he was too, I mean, the sky's the limit for his legacy. And then I think of the progression of Michael Jordan from when he was younger to when he was older. Then you think of LeBron James. Like, think of any all-time great, right? And think of how their games have progressed. I think of Hakeem Olajuwon. That's one I think of a lot. Has LeBron James' game changed from when he was a rookie till now? Nope. Exactly. It really, what he learned how to post up in one summer, and it's still not that good.
Nope.
Speaking of that, did y'all see on Common Sense's video when he was taking a video of him getting tutored by Hakeem? And LeBron just, like, when it was LeBron's turn to do the post up moves, he was not doing it anywhere like Hakeem, and he could see that. He was doing nothing. Like he got the concept of playing with his back to the basket, but Hakeem was showing him just how you had to do it with grace. Just spin naturally. Let your body. LeBron has to hit your shot. It was ugly. It was ugly. Common Sense was. He's on the road right now, bro. LeBron has always had terrible footwork, and that's part of the reason why he can't dribble. And that's also the reason why they make the traveling rules lax, to where you'll see these players hop stepping, two stepping, moonwalking to the rim. And they don't call it. But it's like, well, where does this come from? Well, in the face of your league, he can't dribble at all whatsoever without legitimately having to take 3 steps. He's like a football player on the court. Well, then, of course, they're going to make the rules more relaxed. Or you even think of, and this is part of the reason why Roy Hibbert went down the way that he did. You remember the vertical rule change that happened? Meanwhile, right before Miami started winning? You know, it's like that vertical rule, it's ridiculous. In my opinion, it was ridiculous to even change that rule, because you gave such an advantage to the offense, and especially towards a slasher like LeBron James at that point in time, to where how can you really even contest at the rim at that point? You know, then that's where you start to see a lot of the traditional 90s style kind of bigs, or mid 2000s kind of bigs, transitions to these stretch 5 toothpicks that we see now.
Hey, Nick, I see your comment. You're too late. We've been on for over 2 hours, and Robin and I have to go, and Zay already bounced out. Mason, that was a great call. I appreciate what you brought. Good stuff.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Welcome to the channel, and I hope
no problem. And listen, keep your head up. Those Knicks, if they win tonight, we got a chance. We got a chance.
For real,
all right, Mason. King Speech, thanks for popping in. And hey, Robin, I've got one last fitness question for you. When we talk about Jordan's body breaking down when he came back for the Wizards, do you think things would have gone any differently for him if he had just played straight through and his body never had that downtime and then had to try and come back? You know, people talk about wearing the body down by too many practices, too many games. Well, there's also an argument that you actually will benefit if you just keep your body used to that instead of your body going down, especially when you're old, and then you try and make your body do what it was doing. Which ones do you think Jordan had the same likelihood or less likelihood of a knee injury like that if he had just kept playing from 98 through 2001?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. If he would have kept playing, I don't think it would have been an issue, because you're talking about the weight that he put on. When you talk about weight, that directly impacts your knees. I tell people all the time, if you just gain like 10 pounds, that's like double the gain on your knees. Your knees are taking the brunt of this stuff, your lower back. That's what's taking. So Michael Jordan gained that weight because he wasn't playing those years. So absolutely, that layoff definitely impacted him at that point in time of his career. Absolutely. You know, think about it. Yeah. Like, you know, when you get older, like now, like if you're playing a basketball game, let's say, for example, and you play a full court game, let's say, right? When you come off the court, let's say your team loses. When you come off the court, what's the worst thing that you can do at this point? Sit down and just lay down, right? You get all stiff. So a lot of times, I know if I lose the first game and I got to wait for the next game to start, I'll try to stand on my feet and walk around and stay loose. Because if I sit down and I lay down too long and I wait for the next game to start and I get up and try to go, it's going to be hard. I got to get moving again. So that's kind of like Michael Jordan at that point in time of his career. If he would have kept playing throughout that time, it would have been a lot better for him.
even if you stay active, if you're active in a different way, it could be detrimental. For example, I have a harder time finding quality pickup games, so I jog. And guess what? Jogging is not the same type of training as playing a basketball game. You know, it's certainly better than no exercise, but yeah, it makes me think about when Falk said that Jordan had to change his body from a baseball body back to a basketball body.
Right.
It's like, you know, there's more to that than I think a lot of people realize. Bookmark, thank you. Thank you for the appreciation. Thanks for that chat. And I apologize to everyone who got here late, but we have got to wrap it up. But it was good to be able to chat with you again, Robin, on this live. And I know all the viewers appreciated it. So we'll get back into the routine, everybody. Yeah. Enjoy that Knicks game tonight.
You guys have a great weekend, man. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, guys.
All right.